My 27 female, husband's 27 male, first love, 28 female, contacted him wanting to apologize and reconnect. Should I be concerned? So I've been with my husband for almost 8 years, married for 3. Let's call him Liam. Prior to our relationship, Liam was with Danielle. Liam and Danielle met in high school and were extremely close friends before they decided to start dating. They dated from the end of their senior year of high school to the end of their freshman year of college. They were a lot of firsts for each other, including sex for the first time. According to Liam, Danielle was the first girl he was ever truly in love with. He did anything for her, including driving over 2.5 hours to and from his college to her college every weekend their freshman year, so that they could spend time together. They went to schools in different states. Things started to change for them during the later parts of their freshman year of college after Danielle got heavily involved with a religious group on her campus. According to Liam, she got very manipulative and emotionally abusive. She had these new ideas in her head of who she was wanting him to be and wanting to save him. He tried going to church with her and doing the things that she wanted him to do, but it eventually led to him being confused, upset, and ultimately resentful, which led to them ending things in a crash and burn type way. Fast forward several months after they break up, Liam meets me. We started casually dating at first since he still had trauma and large amounts of trust issues that remained from his relationship with Danielle. After about 5-ish months, he felt like he was ready for something serious again. 3.5 years later, we're engaged. Another year goes by, we're married. Almost 3 years later, we are here today. Throughout all of this time, Liam's not heard from Danielle once. Also during this time, Danielle has met someone new, gotten married as well, and currently has a young child. Flash to a week and a half ago. Liam and I just moved to a new house closer to our hometowns and posted about the move on social media. After seeing the post, Danielle decided to message Liam congratulating us on the new place and hoping that all is well. Nothing too crazy, but not something that he was expecting. They began briefly conversing about house things, moving, renovations, etc. Liam tells me she reached out to him, and I find this a bit odd, but nothing to worry about. A couple of days later, Liam sits me down to ask me something and for me not to freak out. I, of course, began freaking out. Apparently, Danielle had continued to message him after their brief conversation and eventually sent him a long post letting him know that there are some things that she wants to get out in the open, wants to deeply apologize for the way she treated him towards the end of the relationship, and wants to do all of this in person with him. He asked my opinion on this, and I'm definitely concerned as to why after all of this time, this is something that she feels that she needs to do, and also why the need for this to be in person. After discussing this with a friend who had a similar thing happen to her, and afterwards the ex left them alone, I ultimately agreed, hoping that the same scenario would play out with us. Boy, was I wrong. Liam and Danielle decided to meet at a coffee shop in a town about halfway between where we live and where she and her husband live. For Liam, it was about an hour drive. This meeting took place this past Saturday. At first, I asked to come with and just sit in the car while they talked, since I anticipated it being a short but awkward conversation where she could express what she needed to, and then he could leave and we could go do something afterwards. Liam convinced me that I would end up being bored and he would feel bad leaving me alone for that time, so it was better for me just to stay back. He didn't think that it would last very long, maybe an hour or so, and he would be home before I knew it. I ended up agreeing, and he left early in the morning so he could meet her at around 10. After letting me know once he got there and that he would keep me posted on when he would be heading back, I waited. After about an hour, I texted asking how it was going, and he said that it was fine and that he was just listening to what she had to say. Another hour goes by, and I start feeling a bit concerned, as I would have thought that they would be done by now. Another hour goes by, and I'm full-on irritated. I text him saying it's been 3 hours and ask when I should expect him back. He lets me know they're catching up and he would let me know. Another hour goes by, 4 hours in total, and I'm mad. What was supposed to be a short apology conversation was turning into a full-day thing. Finally, he lets me know that he's heading home after 4.5 hours of them talking. I needed answers. When he finally got home, I asked what happened. He let me know that Danielle did apologize for the way that she treated him during their relationship. After that, they began catching each other up on their lives since it had been nearly 8 years since they last talked. It was a good casual conversation, and then she started breaking down crying. According to Liam, Danielle is at her wit's end in her marriage and is considering divorcing her husband. She told Liam that her husband hasn't been the man that she thought he would be and that they've lost all passion in their marriage. That it got harder after she had their baby and doesn't know what to do since she doesn't really like the idea of starting over and navigating as a single mum. Basically, she was confiding in him about all of their issues in her life, and he sat and listened and talked with her. Liam said she really just needed someone to listen that wasn't involved in their circle. He felt bad for her and just wants to make sure that she's okay. He then asked me how I would feel if they continued to be casual acquaintances. I told him that I could maybe get to a point where I would be comfortable with that, but would need to think about it. He made it seem like that was the end of what they discussed, and we continued the rest of our day as normal. At the end of the day, we get in bed and are watching TV when I notice that he's getting quiet and distant. I ask what's wrong, and he starts to tear up, saying that there was more that he needed to tell me about him and Danielle's conversation. I immediately get worried. In tears, he tells me that Danielle expressed to him that she still has feelings for him. Even though it's been years and they've both moved on, she still has parts of her heart set for him. That her husband isn't half the man he is. In some ways, I wasn't shocked to hear that, especially since she wanted to meet him after all this time. However, what he said next did shock me. He told me that after talking with her, he realized that he also still has some unresolved feelings for her. All this time, he thought she hated him after they broke up, when in reality, she was just struggling with her religious trauma in college and took things out on him when she shouldn't. Everything was took out of context. I didn't know what to think. He was so hurt and torn apart after they broke up, and it took me months to build up his trust and hope back up in the beginning to allow him to see himself capable of love again. Now, all these years later, he says he still has a part of his heart for her. In many ways I understand, because first love will always hold a spot, but I'm also a bit hurt that my husband, the man that I plan to spend the rest of my life with, still feels for his ex. After learning that she still has feelings for him, I told him that I wasn't liking the idea of them still talking, that she could eventually start interpreting his kindness to her wrongly and see some sort of potential between them. That really, she should be discussing her marital issues with her own husband and not him. He insists that she would never come between us, and that Danielle herself even expressed that she respected the idea of marriage wholeheartedly, and the last thing she would want to do is harm ours. He wants to be there for her because it seems like she doesn't really have anyone else to talk to about all of this. Last night, he was showing me TikToks on his phone when a text notification from Danielle popped up. I questioned him about it and he shrugged it off as nothing. Today, I asked if she was still texting him, and he said she was, but he was trying to slowly cut her off. I expressed again how I don't think it's best for him to be talking to her and how she really should be going to a friend or family member to talk about her issues. I noticed he was still texting her throughout the evening tonight too. Should I be concerned about all of this? I don't want to come across as a wife who controls who her husband can or cannot talk to. I do trust my husband, but I don't really know Danielle. He insists that she is true to her word and would never try anything, but how can I know for sure? My best friends think that I should tell him to block her. I don't think he will because he feels bad for her, but I don't want her continuing to reach out to him for validation and that eventually leading to her feelings towards him growing more. What do I do? Please help. In the comments, No Contest 9016 says, "Tell your husband that his ex's failing marriage is her own problem. Unless you want your own marriage to fail too, you better stop this nonsense. Danielle would never do that. She already did. Why confess her feelings to a married man? Why did she even appear again?" So much this. Opie's husband seems to think that refers only to sex, But Danielle is already laying the groundwork for an affair, whether she realizes it or not. The husband needs to cease all contact, and frankly, I'm shocked he didn't the moment that she said she still had feelings for him. And then he says he feels similarly about her? Do you see where this is going? Picture him checking his phone for a text from you while hanging out with her. She says, "Your wife again, huh?" Seems like she doesn't trust you. My husband did that too, which made me realize he is so controlling. Anytime you guys have a disagreement, he can go to her to vent. She'll be super supportive and tell him that he's right, you're just being a bitch. She'll remind him of their best memories and inside jokes. He's texting her throughout the evening. They are rekindling their relationship in front of your eyes. Medium-sized Maze says, "This is such a red flag comment from the husband. Danielle would never try anything." Why isn't he saying that he would never try anything? This should have been shut down immediately. I agree that this should have been shut down immediately, and if not then, the next best time is shutting it down now. You would hope that you can trust your partner enough to recognize how bad this could go and all the potential possibilities that could result in staying in contact with her, given the circumstances. But if they're unable to recognize that, or they are unwilling to recognize it, I think you have some problems brewing. I think that would be very bad. So I hope that when OP has this conversation with him and says, there needs to be some boundaries, and one of those boundaries is you need to cease contact with her. No good can come from this. I hope he sees reason, and I hope that he responds by agreeing with her and saying, yes, this can and will get out of hand if it continues. I love you more than I love the idea of my ex. This is something she needs to sort out with her husband and not with me. And now, on to the update. I want to thank everyone who saw my original post and left a comment or sent me a message. Although they may have been difficult for me to read through, it was something I ultimately needed to do. Anyways, here is the update. Liam has been at work all day, so I wasn't able to talk to him much until he got home. I sat him down again and let him know that I needed to talk to him about his communication with Danielle. I told him that I wasn't happy and that I needed to know if he was still talking to Danielle today. He told me he was, but that he was to finally end things with her. For those of you, if not all of you, that suggested Danielle reached out to him because she wanted him for herself, you were correct. Liam called her today, and she straight up asked him how happy he was with me, and that if even for a second there were issues and wanted out, that they could run away together. She wants to divorce her husband and be with him. I believe this admittance finally broke Liam's rose-colored glasses on the situation and opened him up to seeing what she was really doing, trying to manipulate her way back to him and home-wreck our marriage. He finally told her that enough is enough and that he cannot talk to her anymore. That he did feel sorry for everything going on with her and her own marriage, but for the sake of his own marriage and his love for me, that he needs to stop being in touch with her. He realized that those unresolved feelings that he started to have for her after meeting with her this past Saturday were more like feelings of nostalgia for the times they spent together and the times that they were happy. The way she spoke about him and his character made him feel good and gave him that ego boost. But after hearing her true intentions, he was able to remember the way that she was before and why they broke up in the first place. I told him I wanted him to block her. I wanted no contact at all with her, and he agreed. So he deleted all of their messages, blocked her number, and blocked all of her social media right in front of me. There will be no communication between them going forward. Again, thank you all so much for the help realizing what was happening and what needed to be done. I really appreciate it. In the comments, Top Rip says, "Yes, finally a good update. Thankfully, he got his head out of his behind and realized what she was doing. Good luck to you in the future." More like, got whacked in the face by her bluntly telling him that she wanted him to leave his wife for her. OP, that's great, but trust me when I say you have to inspect what you expect. Don't just blindly take his word for it. He could probably tell you were done if he didn't agree, so he took steps. All of those could be undone just as fast. Give it a day, maybe two, and then without fanfare ask him for his phone. Tell him you just want to see for your own mental health that she is still blocked and that there has been no communication because you don't believe that she will go that easily. Don't let him say no or leave the room. Tell him to unlock it and let you see it. Check every single app that he has on his phone that offers messaging. Texts, Facebook Messenger, Instagram, WhatsApp, Snapchat, every single app. Look at recently deleted folders. Also, you still need to contact her husband and alert him. Don't tell your husband you're going to. Just do it. He deserves to know. Her marriage may be a wreck, but cheaters say that all the time. You would want him to call you. If she is that miserable, then he needs to know. I agree. I would want him to call me if I were in her shoes in a situation like that. And absolutely, yes, cheaters do that all the time. They always say, yeah, I have my mistress on the side and I love her and I'm going to leave my wife for her. I'm basically divorced from my wife right now. It's a loveless, hateful marriage and we're basically sleeping in separate beds. It's just the divorce hasn't been finalized. Let's just keep this going for now, and I'll let you know when I have finally left her, and that just never happens. And that guy, in the hypothetical, never had any intention of actually leaving his wife. He just wanted his fun on the side. That absolutely happens with women doing this to men as well. And that is what she is doing here. I would take the advice of the comments, reach out to the husband anonymously, and be like, hey, this is what's going on. Because he deserves to know. He does not deserve to be blindsided if that is the case, that she is acting as if nothing is wrong from her side of that marriage. This story presents itself as one that is concluded and over, but it doesn't feel that way. It feels like there is so much more that is potentially going to happen. So please take the advice of the comments and do your best to prepare for whatever eventuality comes your way. Good luck, OP, and thank you for the story. Am I the asshole here for being brutally honest with my friend about why women don't like him? My friend, who I'll refer to as Nathan, 25 male, has had horrible luck with women for a very long time. He does have a bright future ahead of him though in regards to career. He's just graduated college last year and is currently in law school. However, he's been homeschooled his whole life and does all his college courses in law school online, not in person, which leads me to this next point. He's never had a girlfriend, never been out on a successful date, is still a virgin, and low-key doesn't have many friends in general either, so his social skills are really underdeveloped. His only real socialization was with older people, his parents, grandparents, and fellow elder people, and me. We met through family friends. So he was kind of raised very sheltered and doesn't have anything in common with anyone his own age, let alone women his own age. To top that all off, he's been nothing but super focused on school and being the best student he can be, so grades were his number one priority during his developmental years, which there isn't anything wrong with that. However, he never took a break to live life or have any experiences in life. Nathan has had multiple girls his family introduced to him, starting in 2021 all the way until now, and they've been trying to get them to give him a chance, but they end up just not liking him. I really hate to not be on his side and support him through his constant rejections from multiple girls, but it's gotten to the point where all these girls have the same complaints about him. Nathan's about 5'2", and body-wise, very skinny and petite built. He's also starting to bald and has no bodily strength whatsoever either. He starts shaking just from holding a grocery bag. I hate to sound rude, but the truth is the truth. He's built like a little girl and has the hairline of a father of 3. While I understand height can't be changed, and not necessarily his hair either, he can at least start working out and possibly add some weight and muscle to give him some manly appearance. So I mentioned him doing this with me in general conversation with him. Whenever I go to the gym, I tell him to come join me as a hobby or just to be my gym buddy. He declined numerous times, and the one time he did go, he struggled lifting a 10-pound weight. So he stopped going. Okay, whatever. The way Nathan dresses is very grandpa vibes. tucks in his shirt, dress pants and slacks in dress shirts on an ordinary day, etc. I asked him why doesn't he dress more comfortable every day, like a jogging outfit, a hoodie, some jeans and sweats, and that he should wear sneakers instead of Freddie Benson dress shoes every day. He doesn't think anything is wrong with how he dresses, and he wants to look professional since he's going to be an upcoming lawyer one day. I explained to him lawyers dress in suits and ties, not tucked-in button-up flannels, and they also don't dress like that every day either, just when they're on the job. But sadly, he wasn't having it. Then it finally hit me. It's his damn personality, or lack of it. See, I'm not trying to talk down on him, but if we're going to go by objective reality, he has the personality of a brick. I've seen with my own two eyes how he talks to girls, how he acts on dates, etc. He cannot make a conversation to save his life. He's not funny either, and has zero charisma. He's a literal mute on all double dates and one-on-one dates he's been on, and it's so painfully awkward to watch. It's not like the girls aren't trying either. I've managed to get him dates, however, they go nowhere due to his sheer lack of confidence, personality, or interest. When he talks to women, it's like all that he knows how to talk about is just school. And if it's not school, it's just radio silence or some shit that only boomers would understand or care about. I've also noticed how every time him and I go out somewhere, and I'm not sure if it's due to his size, he is scared and flinches whenever people walk past us, and he's always afraid that doing anything or going anywhere fun or interesting is too wild or dangerous for him, i.e. concerts, bars, amusement parks, etc. So, I did it. He whined and whined, kept being full of bitterness, complaints, and negativity, talking bad about women and saying they never want good men and they only want players or good-looking tall guys. So I ended up telling him straight out that the reason he doesn't get anywhere with girls is because he's a dork. I told him I don't care if he's a dork since I'm not the one dating him, but that girls crave excitement, fun, or at least someone they can talk to about anything or have fun experiences with, etc. I told him that he refuses to change anything physically about himself. And to top it all off, he won't even make himself at least interesting or fun to be around, and he is completely dull. That is why he can't pull or keep. He then got mad at me and accused me of picking on him and making fun of him, and that I'm holding his life circumstances against him. No public schooling or socialization, to which I told him I'm not, and I wish I was just saying nonsense. I'm telling him the truth. I explained to him that his lack of social skills and appearance isn't necessarily his fault. However, if someone's giving you advice on what's stopping you from getting where you want to be and how to change it, you should take that advice and quit complaining and just thinking everyone should accept you as you are, because newsflash, we all have flaws. I told him that if he wants to get somewhere with girls and not have constant competition, that he needs to have something to make up for it, because there's plenty of lawyers and future lawyers in the world, and simply saying, I graduated college, isn't going to make somebody have a connection or attraction to you. He told me that I'm jealous that he's getting in somewhere in life academically, and that the other girls are the problem for not seeing his worth and future success, and that if that's not enough for them to be with him, then they're the ones not good enough for him. I've not talked to him since then, and I refuse to associate with someone who thinks I'm jealous of them for giving them constructive criticism to a problem they constantly complain about. My dad is saying that I'm right, but also that it's probably an insecurity on his part, and I should apologize and try not to be too hard on him. I feel like I shouldn't be friends with somebody who can't ever see what's wrong with them or accept their flaws without crying about it and blaming others, though, because that's just plain toxic to me. Am I the asshole here? In the comments, Miss Bean163 says, So I work in a hospital, and I see a lot of men during the worst time in their lives, the in sickness part of things. I've seen very big men with lovely wives. I've seen long-term double amputees with chronic health conditions with cool wives. Men with complex chronic health conditions. Men who are balding or not traditionally attractive. Older men. Short men. The men in happy relationships and/or who are punching up, all treat me, a woman, as an actual human. Even when they're in agony, even when I'm wiping their bum, I can chat to them. They have passions and interests, and they are good conversationalists who see me as a human being. Having a man weaker than me wouldn't be a turn-off, but having an incompetent man would be. Having a man who can look at our toilet rolls and go, oh, there's 2 left, I'll buy more now before I forget. Don't underestimate the effect this will have on ladies. Limited interests. I know a lot of men, autistic and not, who have very specific interests. For some, it's their career, some it's a hobby, some it's movies or something. What counts is passion without arrogance. I know at least 3 university tutors who are not conventionally attractive at all, but their faces light up in class when students ask questions. No question is dumb. They genuinely love this topic. They welcome emails. And they have much younger female students with crushes or who want to call them daddy. Of course, these guys never would, but that's part of the appeal. They are safe, they are trustworthy, they are good people. It also helps if you're a good listener, which ties into my first point, treat women as humans. Apprehensive Goat says, my ex got laid so much throughout his life because he actually likes women and talks to them like people. He even had a guy come up to him and ask him how he does it after chatting up a girl on a bus for a few hours. That was his answer. I'm pretty sure one of the main reasons I fell in love with him is because he made me feel seen and heard. Like he wanted to get to know me on a spiritual level, not just into my vagina. It's been 10 years since we broke up, and I'm still hung up on him. It's some powerful shit. The kicker is, I wasn't immediately attracted to him physically, but that changed as I got to know him better. Now I think he's gorgeous. How you act towards a woman can literally change the way she perceives your person. Ordinary Carrie says, the fact that he's taking even his law school courses online is concerning. He might turn into an eternal, online of course, student just to avoid interacting with people. He could probably benefit from a public speaking course, something like Toastmasters. You've been a good friend, but unless he recognizes that he's his own worst enemy, there's not much more you can do. I don't get how he can hope to succeed in law school without the basic social skills. There aren't tons of jobs where not being able to hold a conversation is going to make him keep a job. Like computer science, sure, worked in it, and there's tons of stinky Kevins who think women owe men sex and that blue balls are a legit reason to complain. But law? Yeah, interesting one with him, and personally I don't think you're an asshole here for being brutally honest with him about why women don't like him. If he's not going to work on himself, if he's not going to build himself up, he can't expect someone else to see him, who he is now as a person, and how he has led his life up to this point, and be like, yes, that is someone that I want to start a project of building him up with. That is someone that I want to make a life with. If all the other options are so much better than what he is offering right now, he's delusional to think that he's owed a woman, to think that a woman is going to see his potential career as a lawyer and be like, that's someone I'm clinging on to now. Because, you can always go and date someone that's actually a lawyer right now, that actually has their shit together. Does he just not recognize that that is also a possibility? Just very odd behavior from him. I get why he's like that, but maybe we just have to wait for him to hit rock bottom, and who knows when that's going to be, because if he doesn't want help, he's not going to change. That's just how it is. Not the asshole. And now, on to the update. I just wanted to say that I got in contact with Nathan and apologized to him for being too harsh towards him. I tried explaining to him that even though I was harsh, I was just frustrated and just trying to help him since I figured he'd need someone to be blunt with him. But it wasn't my intention to hurt his feelings or anything. I made sure to express that I do care about him as a person and just wanted to guide him since he seemed lost in the world of dating. He didn't really accept my apology. He told me that I'm on the path of being a broke loser bum because I'm in a different field than him, and he's decided that everything I told him was just out of jealousy and that he thinks, and I quote, he is owed the highest form of respect for being a good man who is a future legal representative, and since I wasn't giving him that, that we should stop being friends. He also attempted to tell me that I should watch out from disrespecting him because in the future, my life will be in his hands and he'll have the power to put me in jail. I assured him that jealousy and the highest form of respect definitely wasn't the case. But if that's how he feels, then so be it. At least I know I tried and did my part. I also wanted to answer some questions that I saw people leave under the original post for some clarity. 1. Yes, he is 5'2". Yes, he is very skinny and small. Every physical attribute that I've mentioned and described is real. Some people thought that I was over-exaggerating or just straight up lying, but I'm not. 2. For those asking how he's doing college or law school online, he was studying online classes at University of Florida. As for law school, I know which one he's doing, but I won't say for privacy purposes. 3. As to why he's been doing nothing but home/online his whole life, it's because his parents are really overprotective of him. They were constantly worried about school shootings, kidnappers, etc., even to this day. 4. For those asking if his family is religious, yes they are. However, mine is too, and many others. This has not stopped anyone from growing into a different or better person, nor has it caused me or anyone I know, besides Nathan, to have a one-track mind. 5. For those asking if he's autistic, he isn't diagnosed, so I don't want to say yes, but does he exhibit signs of severe autism? Yes. Yes, he does. The lack of social/self-awareness was a clear sign for me, but I don't want to label him that if I'm wrong. 6. For those who mentioned how he plans to be a lawyer with no talking or social skills, I mentioned this to him during our last conversation. I told him, forget about women, and politely explained that he also needs to improve his communication and social skills if he plans to be a lawyer, because without that, he isn't going to make it very far. He told me he's got it all figured out, and as long as he gets that degree, that's all he needs to be ultra successful in law. I told him that's not how it works, and you quite literally have to be slightly manipulative and convincing in order to make a name for yourself, because what good is your degree if you suck at actually performing your job? He once again tried to tell me that I'm jealous and that I don't know what I'm talking about. So yeah, after all of that, I've accepted that our friendship is over, and I'm not sure where he's going to land in the future, whether in regards to romantic relationships or his actual career, and I was also the only friend he had, so I do wish him the best and hope life doesn't humble him to the point of no return. I don't think he's a bad person, just out of touch with reality, and I hope that doesn't backfire too harshly on him. In the comments, Peppermint Valet says, he's going to be eaten alive in a firm, but that will be his lesson to learn. But I doubt he'll even manage to get a foot in the door. If he had any humility at all, I suspect that Nathan would be an absolute rock star in the research department of a larger firm or as a contract lawyer. Someone who doesn't necessarily need to be good with people, but with details. But he would never succeed in a courtroom. I feel like Nathan's parents are to blame for his attitude towards OP. The stuff that he said about OP being jealous and that he'll be an instant success as long as he gets a degree sounds like a parent telling their child that everything will be okay and it's not your fault, everyone's just out to get you, that's all. Very sheltered by the way OP describes why he was homeschooled and does online college classes. Happy Weekend says, sadly, it sounds like he's on the road to becoming an incel that women won't only not be interested in, but actively avoid. Or he's probably already there. I have friends who are with guys that are not very attractive. One is blonde with long hair and balding, and they just got married. And the dude, he's so nice. Like stand-up guy that would do anything for her and her family, and her mum adores him. Hell, I adore him as he's helped me out a few times. So looks aren't always what are gonna get you a girl, but his personality definitely is not gonna help him either. Yeah, definitely does sound like he's a bit on the incel track, and it is unfortunate. That's the decision that he's made, and you can say as much as you want to him. You can try and change him for the better. You can try and lead a horse to water, but it's just not gonna work. And I feel for OP. They see someone that, to them, it's very obvious the mistakes that this person has continuously been making and how easy it is to see things from OP's perspective and be like, It doesn't have to be this way. You don't have to continuously be frustrated in love and frustrated in life, especially when you get to that point where everyone feels like you are going to fail because you don't understand what being a lawyer is like. And he doesn't want to see it. And that's no one's fault but his own. If he doesn't succeed, let him. He'll have to figure that out when he gets there. Thank you for trying, OP, and thank you for the update. Our next post is by user Wild Salamander, and it's titled 30 Male, Found My Partner, 30 Female, on Hinge. As the title says, we were walking and she was showing me something on her phone, and in the most recent apps, I saw Hinge. I asked her about it, and she said she's been using it to scroll through, like social media. She showed me the most recent messages, and there was nothing there. She said she hasn't spoken to anyone on the app and hasn't met with anyone. She also said she hadn't changed her pictures. I left because I had to think about things. A few days later, we met up, and I asked to go through her Hinge, and she said she had deleted the app, and I asked her to re-download it. She did, and she was doing something on the app in front of me, so I asked for the phone. She had uploaded new pictures, because she looks good in them, and there was nothing else on there. I asked what she was doing whilst I was waiting, and she said that she was looking at her profile, and I asked her again. She then said that she deleted messages. I asked why, and she said that they were personal and from before we got together. She had also previously unmatched me, but not them? From all of this, she's annoyed at me for being cold about the way that I went about things and the fact that I breached her trust by going through her Hinge. I was ready to end things, but we had a holiday booked a few days later, so we went. Throughout the whole holiday, she showed me that she really cared about me, and it's really messed my head up. I know it's over and I need to move on, but I just feel like I need to know if she's cheated on me or not. But she gets defensive when I bring it up. I know I'm being a complete idiot, but please give me your honest thoughts about the situation. In the comments, Lil Fate says, "Your girl is on a dating site. Don't let your mind play tricks on you or have her gaslight you. She's keeping her options open. This. I'm not walking into a dealership when I'm not looking for a car. Don't sit on the toilet unless I need to shit or piss after leg day, and don't get on dating apps unless I'm looking to meet someone. Neither does she. You know you're dating a narcissist when they get mad at you for going through their dating app. Dude, she's cheating." See, this is just one of those clear examples of like, how do you not see she's a terrible person? How do you not see that she is not the one? She is doing something actively bad, actively unfaithful, right in front of your face, and you are following up on it, and she is normalizing the situation, and for some reason, you're questioning that. Why are you questioning that? We've gone down like 10 layers of things that have been unacceptable from the get-go. Layer 1, you should have been hitting her with an ultimatum being like, what the hell is going on? Why did you download this app? You're going to tell me everything right now or we're done. But instead, you've let it go to the point that you found out she put new photos up on the app. She was deleting messages in front of your face. She admitted to unmatching you, but no one else on the app. Like, these are so many extraneous details that you should never have learnt because the situation should have been over before this. This is crazy. Not the asshole, but like, get her out of your life. What are you doing? Stop wasting your time. And now, on to the update. So I went to go and see her to have the talk. We started with some small talk, and then she broke up with me. This honestly took me by surprise. She said she had thought about why she had been on Hinge, and said that she was just unsure about me, and even after a year of being exclusive, she is still unsure, and is unsure if she ever will be. She also mentioned how upset she was that I broke her trust by going through her Hinge, and that I never really trusted her. But ultimately, she's saying she broke it off because it's not fair for me. She still remains adamant that she didn't cheat and that she never lied to me, even though she deleted messages and changed her profile pictures despite me asking previously. She then started to talk about all the nice times that we've had together and how I'm such a good guy. She cried a lot and then stayed at the door as I drove off. My question is, what the hell just happened? Once again, I feel like I'm in the wrong. I think she may have a little cognitive dissonance with the hinge thing and can't admit to herself what she has done. I also question if she thinks that she's done anything wrong. The whole trust thing is utter nonsense. Looking back, I gave her the benefit of the doubt in situations which I probably shouldn't have, but I trusted her. I know you guys were right, and this needed to be over, but it sucks that she broke up with me. Obviously, I'm very upset and miss her, but I think I miss the idea of her more than the real person. I understand it may take time, but I'll get over this and be even stronger at the other side. But it just really sucks at the minute, so any advice to help me get over this would be appreciated. I've got a lot to process and think about, but if you guys want another post about the relationship, just let me know. I'm finding it pretty cathartic writing it down. FYI, the holiday mentioned in my previous post was for a marathon, hence why I felt like I had to go, even though it really confused things for me. Hold on, are we watching the movie Me Before You? Is that the marathon holiday in Norway? Is that what's going on? Is she looking after a man in a wheelchair that's a quadriplegic? Oh, say it ain't so. In the comments, Advanced Sandwich says, she just beat you to the punch. OP dodged a bullet, I think. Yep, she did him a favor. I wouldn't want to be with her if she's been looking for a hookup on there and deleting her messages anyway. After reading the original post and this update, she broke up with him so she can control the narrative and convince herself that she did nothing wrong. She can now say whatever she wants to friends and future prospects and believe her own lies. Lamau, you didn't break her trust by going through her hinge. She should never have been on there to begin with. She broke your trust. Run from that walking red flag. She'll marry someone else, divorce within a few years, and then start looking for OP again with a sad tale of woe about how she's finally realized what she lost. Throughout, to be precise, and how he's the only good guy that she ever knew. When she comes back, he should tell her to F off. He doesn't date cheating trash and then ignore her. Honestly, I do see that happening. People do that. They realize that they didn't find greener grass on the other side, and they in fact found a dating pool with piss in it. And go, oh damn, well, I did do my ex dirty, but they were a bit of a doormat during the relationship. I'm sure they'll be waiting for me to come back inside. And they would be right. There would be a lot of exes in situations like that are more than willing to be stepped on again, because they are doormats. Don't be the doormat, OP. Close the door and slam it on her way out. You deserve better. She deserves worse. She has done you absolutely wrong. She is filthy trash. And don't let filthy trash back in the house. It's only going to give you mold and fungus. And you don't want a fungusy mold girlfriend trashing up the place again, do you? You're going to be evicted by the landlord. Who would the landlord be in this situation? For me, it'd be like Connor or something. I would hope that the landlord is society. If you allow your fungus, trashy mold girlfriend back in your house, we as a society should be allowed to exile you and evict you from our happy existence. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. This has been really emotional for me. Emotionally productive. I'm glad that I can come up with thoughts like this. Let me know what you think about these thoughts that I have. Our next post is by user SadRel, and it's titled, Am I the asshole here for basically telling my in-laws that this is my house, and if you don't like my rules, then get out? First off, I don't think I was wrong, which has infuriated my girlfriends. I, 25, recently moved into my house. My girlfriend, 27, and I had a little housewarming. Her family, my mother, and a few of our friends. We were eating outdoors, and the kids had their own table. My girlfriend's nephew, who was 8 years old, knocked over a jug of dilute. Dilute? What? What is that? Bro's dating a chemist. I was at the table when it happened, and it was clearly an accident. He was very polite and apologized. He was a little upset, but I just laughed it off. His father came over, and I was shocked at how much his father gave out to him. I told him that it was only an accident, etc., and he kept going. I felt really guilty for not stopping it. He ran over to the corner of the garden and started crying. His father went back to the table and he said what happened, and his wife said he deserved that. He should have stayed there for a long time or something along those lines. There was almost a snigger from some of her family. Anyway, I went over to the boy a couple of minutes later. I gave him a bar of chocolate. He was still crying. He said sorry again. I gave him a high five and taught him this high five that I used to do as a kid. His mother came over and said, "Do you mind not talking to my son? He needs to think about what he did wrong, and he needs to do that alone." What is wrong with this family? Oh my God. I took her and her husband aside and said, "This is my house. If you want to upset your kid, don't do it here. If you don't like it, get out." I swear the reaction that followed was insane. They were back to the table saying it. My mum said, never holding back, "Didn't I raise a great son? He's spot on not to let bullies in this house," which erupted it even more. My girlfriend spoke to me in private and asked me to apologize to them. I said no. I stand by what I said, and this part I regret a little bit. I told her that I think less of her for even asking me to apologize. I respect that, OP. I do. I respect you saying that. A mate of mine and his son kicked ball with the boy and I. He actually gave me a hug, I don't do hugs, at the end of the party and said sorry again. He hugged me so tightly for a couple of seconds. I really could go on about the drama, but in short, her family thought I was wrong. I was getting little digs, etc. My girlfriend's friend came up privately and said that I was right to step in. My girlfriend is still pushing for me to apologize. I don't think I did anything wrong. I didn't tell them how to parent, but told them to leave if that's how they wanted to parent. If I'm being completely honest, and I didn't say this, I'm not sure that I'd want a kid with a family like that. In the comments, Stacey B125 says, "I'm a grown woman in my 40s with my own children. I still flinch when I spill or break a dish. No one has yelled at me or physically punished me for such things since I left home at 18, yet it lingers. When my kids spill or break things, I calmly ask if they are hurt. If they aren't, they help clean up the spill. If it's a break, I remove them from the glass danger and clean it up myself. My kids have never flinched in fear over a spill. No child should, not the asshole." One of the things that makes me feel like I'm doing alright at this parenting thing is that if my kids drop something and it's loud enough, I don't even have to ask. The first words out of their mouths are usually, "I'm okay." Because that's always the first question. Everyone spills things sometimes. No one should be punished for that. Not the asshole. Always put trash in their place. You're right in everything, my bro. You're much more of a man than most people twice your age. If you marry into a family like that, well, don't complain later. OP says, "True. It's something I'm thinking hard about. I'm not against giving out. There are times when it's probably necessary, but if someone did that to my future kid over something so small, I'd be a fucking nightmare." Limitless Megan says, "Think about this. If that's what they do and say to that kid in public over something that small, imagine how he's being treated and disciplined in private. They expected you to back them and agree with them on that. Imagine what happens at home and what they punish him for. That is an abusive family right there. Adults who bully children are abusers abusing children, and it's high time that we call it what it is. Tell your girlfriend once and for all, no, I will not apologize for intervening in abuse. I will not allow abuse in my home. I will not apologize for intervening in abuse when I see it happening. And frankly, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with someone who is an abuse apologist as a partner, so I think we might need to talk this out more. But I'm absolutely not apologizing." Took the words right out of my goddamn mouth with that one, you did. Limitless Megan, let me give you a standing ovation for that one because that is exactly how I feel about this situation. OP's girlfriend is an abuse apologist. She is a morally flawed person, and she needs to be told as such. I'd go as far as to say she needs to be put in her place for coming at OP for not condoning abuse of a child in his own house. Is she seeing herself? Is she hearing herself? Is she listening to herself? We as a society should be cracking down on abuse like this, especially abuse towards children. If she can't see that, if she refuses to see it, if she refuses to apologize for her behavior and not actively shame these parents for abusing their child and continuing it so much, I think it's about time you question whether this relationship is worth the foundation that it's been started on. I question whether I could be with someone like that. And I question if I were to ever have kids with a person like that, if they would have my kids' best interests at heart, and if they themselves would not just abuse those kids. This to me reads like a foreboding warning of things to come, OP. And I think if from this point forward there is either a no breakup or drastic change made, very drastic, hard, emotional change made with this person, that it's not going to be a bright future ahead. Not the asshole. And now, on to the update. So this isn't Am I the Asshole here, but a bit of a rant. Not sure if many remember, but my girlfriend's nephew spilled flavored water at my housewarming and shit hit the fan. That happened about 2 months ago. So not long after I made the post, my girlfriend and I broke up. Honestly, the more I thought about the situation, the more annoyed I became by it. On Wednesday evening, my ex-girlfriend called me and asked me to come over. I went over. I thought she might want to try to get back together, but that wasn't it. She was minding her nephew for a few nights. She said there was a mark on his arm, but he said he wouldn't tell her. She said she didn't know who else to call. I played a bit of football with him, and after a bit, I asked him what happened to his arm. He said he didn't know. I asked him a few more questions, and he got really upset. I gave him a hug, I probably shouldn't have, and said, "You're not in trouble," etc. It went on a bit, and eventually he said his dad did it. I asked him does he do it often to him, and he said that it was just the once because he was really angry. I believe it was just the once. He did admit that his parents do other stuff that I would consider abusive. I told my ex-girlfriend, and she said she is shocked. I don't think it was shocking. She said she can't ring social services and asked if I would. So I rang them. They will take it seriously once his parents are home from their holiday, apparently. The poor little lad. In the comments, Top Caregiver 1342 says, "You absolutely did the right thing by calling. Even if it was just the once, a child being hit like that is never acceptable. Hopefully this leads to proper intervention." And OP says, "Thanks. Honestly, it was the other stuff that he said that worried me." Frequent Couple says, "And we know from the first post the way they treat their son is horrible and feels like emotional abuse to me. And now it is escalating to physical. You absolutely did the right thing. OP, I hope you plan on having kids one day, because I think you're going to be a wonderful father." OP says, "It was the emotional stuff that really was the issue. The behaviors he was saying just weren't right." And yeah, I go back and forth on kids. I probably won't, but I'm not sure. Overshare replies to OP, "I think whatever decision you make, you will thrive in. You definitely sound like you would be a stellar parent, but that doesn't mean that you have to be one. I wish both you and the kid the best. He deserves so much better than the cards he's been dealt. Thank you for doing what was right and protecting him. You're a good person, OP." Me Folly says, "If you're able to, give that kid your number. Tell him to write it in his shoe or something so that he has it with him. Tell him that he can call you at any time he feels unsafe. Be sure he knows that all you may be able to do is talk with him, but you won't yell at him and you will listen. If you can do that, if you are emotionally able to make that offer, you will have changed that kid's life. He may never call. He may call just to check that you will answer, but he will always know that there was someone who thought he did not deserve to be left all alone." And OP says, "True, but he doesn't have a phone or anything. I told him I probably won't see him that often, but next time they do or say something, tell your aunt or a teacher. They will help you. If you ever do see me, then tell me." That kind of thing. I, 24 female, think my boyfriend, 23 male, is sleeping with his boss, 54 female, because he always comes home late showered and she gives him bonuses. How can I get the truth of it? My boyfriend works a physical job, so he usually comes home dusty and sweaty. Now it's becoming more often, but he comes home already showered sometimes. I asked him before, and he said his boss lets him use her shower sometimes when he works late and wants to just get home and rest. She also gives him a lot of extra cash, and I find it too much for what he does for work. He also sometimes brings home gifts for me that his boss sends for me. I don't know why she would randomly send me expensive gifts or gift cards. It just doesn't sit right with me. I looked through his phone, but he never has any messages with her, so I don't know if he deletes them. We have each other's location, so if I try to go watch what he does, he would know too. Is there anything that I should do to get more evidence? Or how do I even confront him without proof? She treats him too nice, and I've noticed, and she definitely at least finds him attractive, because the last time I went to their company party, she kept telling me how I was a lucky girl to have such a handsome boyfriend. In the comments, Mr. Fluffpants says, if he just wants to get home and rest, why would he shower at her place? That's super weird. Like, even if someone offered, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. What kind of work does he do for her? You have a right to feel uncomfortable because it definitely seems sus. Typically, these outlandish excuses for things tend to be lies. Is he bringing extra clothes? Like, I don't understand. That's so weird. Is he showering and getting back into his work clothes? What the hell? Unless he's worrying about smelling like sex when he gets home. OP, there really is only two ways to go about this. Either ask him and believe the answer, or investigate. I'm throwing this out there because it's almost entirely disregarded in the comments. I only saw one person mention it, and I saw another commenter tackle it the wrong way. Considering that she's his boss, any chance she could be taking advantage of a power dynamic? I.e., she pays him, he feels like he has to keep doing X in order to maintain a job. Not specifically something as bad as blackmail, but could easily be a bad situation he found himself in. Ultimately, you're allowed to dip for any reason, or no reason at all. But while 23 is old enough to be well and truly accountable for one's own actions, relationships that take advantage of a power dynamic, such as pay, are a bit different and harder to manage when someone's tied up in it. I'm only saying there's a chance that could be what's going on, so you could investigate with an eye towards busting him, but I'd suggest looking into it with more of an open mind if you decide to look into it at all. You could also choose not to look into it and to just break up. You'd be valid for that decision too. OP says, my boyfriend is 23. But yes, I feel bad that I'm accusing him of cheating, but what if he's not? It's just hard for me to think he isn't cheating. I do have to figure this out, though I don't want to just break up. He's an amazing boyfriend. Thug Special Olympian replies, be prepared to not have a boyfriend if you can't trust him. It does sound sus, but the only way that you're going to get your answer if you can't take his word for it is some snooping and sneaking around. If he is not cheating, he will break up with you, and if he is, then you break up with him. Honestly, all of the circumstances given here tell me that it's most likely that he is cheating on you with the boss, because no one comes home late, showered, and then showers you with gifts from the boss. I don't understand why he would think that that's a normal thing. He's trying to normalize something that is very much not normal. If I were a friend in your life, I'd say, you can do investigating if you want. You can try and get to the bottom of this all you'd like. But at the end of the day, something's not right. And I wouldn't blame you for breaking it off now before you break your own heart, looking through his phone and finding that evidence. So you can get the truth of the situation all you'd like, but I think we all know what's going to happen. And now, onto the update. So I went through most of the comments, even the negative ones. I ended up showing up at my boyfriend's boss's house and left my phone at home to see if maybe I could find something out without him knowing. I got there, and I saw that she had cameras, so I just stayed in my car to look around, and I didn't see much other than the fact that my boyfriend's truck was in fact there in her driveway, but his tools were still in the back. I have gifted him some toolboxes that stack, so I know exactly how many he has, and all of his boxes were still there in the bed of his truck. So I found it super weird and got a weird gut feeling. I ended up getting too nervous to go knock, so I left back home and waited for him. He got home late as always, and he didn't want to have sex, so I found it really weird. When he fell asleep, I gave his phone one more look because, to be honest, it was too clean the last time I came and checked it. I finally found out he has hidden apps, and I found out that they've apparently been communicating through WhatsApp and not messages. I wish I didn't find that, but honestly, I at least know what he was doing. They've been seeing each other, and she pays him to sleep with her. I saw all the messages between them, and what hurt more was that she even recorded him having sex with her and sent those videos to him in the chat. She knows I wouldn't be okay with this, and she said if he wasn't with me, she would have taken him for herself. She also does mention gifts that she has sent me, and she's promised him that she would in the near future pay for our vacation/take care of us. I called her through his phone and yelled at her and told her how I felt, and she told me that I should be grateful that she sends me these gifts and doesn't completely take him from me. I was crying in the bathroom reading this and seeing all of this, but I woke him up and got into a bad argument with him. He apologized, and I didn't believe him, but now I can't go anywhere until I get some more money. I can't afford to just move out, and he's been taking care of me financially for the most part. I don't have my parents either. How do I even go about moving on from him completely when I can't even afford to leave? In the comments, Stranger Character says, "You need to get a job, earn some money, and then break away. Do what you need to. Figure out where you want to go and what you want to do. Find a cheap apartment and put yourself through community college. Learn to be independent and never ever depend on someone else ever again. Then you can walk away anytime you want." OP says, "I have a job, but I don't get paid very well. The thing is, my boyfriend owns everything. He's the one paying my car note and insurance and all that. I don't know how long it would take for me to be able to afford my own car." Black Star Blues replies, "This is why you need to keep a cool head and no more emotional outbursts. The position you're in, your boyfriend could put you out with just your personal belongings, and that would be that. While it wouldn't be legal, you can't afford a lawyer to defend your rights. For the time being, go along to get along. Get a job, make a plan, save up every penny, and move on as soon as you can." And John Florida says, "This right here. OP could find herself homeless at any minute. The boss could pressure him to kick her out. OP, do you not have any friends or family who might loan you money to pay off your car?" And OP says, "Nobody that I know, honestly. He still owes like $18,000 on this car. It's pretty much brand new." Low Temperature says, "This is the problem with relying on anyone to pay your way through life. Look, you didn't trust him, and you wasted a bunch of time and effort running surveillance when you should have been getting a job and getting yourself out of that situation. Now your cover is blown, so unless your next step is blackmail, you've got to sit in that uncomfortable situation while you look for a job and earn enough money to get on your own 2 feet. Unless he kicks her out. I understand her emotions were running high, but she really should have played this smarter and pretended that she knew nothing until she could afford to move out." And that's some good practical advice that is, for me, outside of the scope of, yeah, he did you wrong, he's an asshole for that, you need to get out of there, because the reality of the situation is, a lot of people are like OP and financially dependent on the person that is cheating on them. While OP could have used this information sooner before blowing her own life up like that, I don't blame her for doing that. But now you have to deal with the consequences of those actions. Not saying that what you, OP, did was wrong, absolutely not, but it has in a way shot you in your own foot. Now your quality of living is going to go down exponentially because you weren't prepared for this relationship to end and what that meant for you. Given your position, we didn't know that. We didn't know that this was your financial position in the original post. So this kind of seems like a learning from your mistakes moment as to don't let this happen again. Don't let yourself be completely financially dependent on someone, because this is what happens. If you have the ability to not be financially dependent, please don't. So yeah, I don't really have too much else to add to that. I empathize for OP, and it seems like she's either gonna stay and deal with it, or leave and suffer for quite a long time until she gets herself on her own 2 feet. That's the reality of the situation. It's very much sad. Good luck, OP. Our next post is by user VizVaki, and it's titled, I, 25 female, am hurt that my best friend, 26 female, didn't stand up for me when someone in our friend group, 25 female, uninvited me from a girls' trip the night before. Am I expecting too much from my best friend? Hi everyone. So I have a friend group from college, and we all still hang out with each other as a group every couple of months. My best friend, let's call her A, and I hang out almost every weekend and are very close. She is also good friends with another girl in our group, let's call her B. B and I are not super close, but I always thought that we were friendly together. I know in girl friend groups that it's not normal to be super close with everyone, and that's okay. I always tried to be her friend and treat her the same as the other girls. A few months ago, our group was at a picnic discussing a group trip. B said her family had a cabin upstate and we should all go up there for a weekend. Everyone agreed, and we all set the date for this past weekend. Everything was great and normal these past few weeks. We were all texting in a group chat about going on this trip and sharing what we're going to pack, what movies we're going to watch. Then the night before we're supposed to leave, B sends me a text message essentially saying, "Hi, I feel like we're not close friends. I think you don't like me, and that's okay. I don't want us to be fake with each other, so it's for the best that you don't join us this weekend." I'm shocked. However, I try to be understanding and tell her that I do like you and enjoy our hangouts. It's okay that we're not super close. I do not act fake around you. I totally understand, and the group can go without me. If I did anything to hurt you, I'm sorry and am open to talking about it. This really hurt me, and I was in shock trying to figure out what happened and what I did wrong. I texted my best friend A, who was attending the girls' trip, to let her know that I was uninvited. Her first reaction was basically, "Oh well, you girls weren't close anyways, so it's whatever." She then said, "I hope you don't expect me to get in the middle of this, because I don't think it's my place and would affect my mental health." I, of course, trying to be accommodating, said everything is okay and it's okay for her not to get involved. After a day of crying about this and feeling really awful, I realized that this was a really shitty thing that B did to me. And I also realized that my best friend A was not supportive of me. I don't expect my best friend to not go on the trip, but I expected her to acknowledge that what B did was really mean and awful. I just wanted her support, and I was hoping that when inevitably the topic of me comes up during the girls' trip, she would stand up for me and say, "Hey, it's okay for you guys not to be friends, but it's not okay to exclude someone from a group event at the very last minute." I let A know that her lack of support was really hurtful to me, and if she was in my position, I would acknowledge that our mutual friend did something really awful. I would feel really bad going on this trip knowing A is at home feeling really hurt. She, however, thinks that this conflict is solely between B and I, and that she shouldn't get involved. She said she has an independent friendship with B, and that her getting involved will make things worse. Do you think that it's wrong or too much to expect my best friend to stand up for me when our mutual friend, quote-unquote, uninvited me last minute to a group event? I'm not asking her to pick a side. However, it feels like she's okay with B essentially bullying me. It's okay that she wants to be friends with B. That's totally acceptable. However, I do think you should have the courage to stand up to a friend who is bullying your other friend. Greatly appreciate your insights. Thank you. In the comments, Shelly895 says, "You're wrong. A did pick a side. It just wasn't yours. A did what benefits her. Very last-minute change in plans. I don't think your friend is as good a friend or as innocent as she makes out to be. Someone must have recently said something to B, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was A, even in passing or jokingly. Yeah, odd for her to make that point about OP's private criticism of B, almost like someone might have accidentally, or not, broken OP's confidence and shared those remarks. I'm thinking A doesn't want to get involved because she's the one who kicked the hornet's nest. If OP and B never have a proper conversation to hash it out, A never gets called out for starting the drama and gossiping. Time for new friends. A is supposedly your best friend, but did what benefits her the most. You should consider leaving this friend group. Quote, she said she has an independent friendship with B and that her getting involved will make things worse. End quote. Really? Worse for who? Her? Back up to the post, there's an edit. Thank you for all of your comments. Really appreciate your insights. I agree that in principle, friends should stick up for each other, but that's not always the reality. I'm okay with not being friends with this group. Friends change a lot in your 20s, I guess. Some stay, some go, it is what it is. I spoke to my best friend A, and she's pretty set that she shouldn't get in the way and that it's not her place to say anything. She also is now saying that she doesn't really think that I should be upset, considering B and I were never close. And there were times I criticized B behind her back, so I shouldn't be upset. Maybe she's right that I shouldn't speak ill about someone, but I'm not perfect. And I think there's a difference between a private criticism and a different offense. If that changes your perspective, let me know. Edit 2. I texted B and let her know that her actions were mean-spirited and unkind, and I'm okay not being friends. I left our group chat. I spoke to A, and we agreed to take some time apart and speak about it in person next week. Edit 3. Hi all. Here's a final update. I spoke to A on the phone, and it seems that we just don't see eye to eye on this case. She said she acknowledges I'm hurt, but ultimately it was B's choice. I think this argument was going in circles, so I decided to put the issue at rest there. I think, though I'm valid in my ask, A is just not the person to support me in the way that I wish. A and I are still friends. I think that I'm willing to let this just be an isolated moment where we didn't align, and that's okay. I have other friends who are willing to stand up for me, and I now have a newfound appreciation for them. A and I will continue to be friends, but I will keep this in mind for the future. Thank you to everyone for your encouraging words, and also helping me see different perspectives. I agree with the comments here. I think a lot of this is A's fault, because a real best friend would stick up for you and kick up a fuss and be like, what the fuck is going on? If you're not gonna ride or die for your best friend, do you deserve that moniker? Are you really a best friend when you say, oh yeah, the entire friend group just absolutely destroyed you a few days out from a girls' trip that we have been planning for a long time? That was completely socially unacceptable, and it was spearheaded by one person. And I get that, but hey, keep me out of this. I'm not doing this for you. That sounds like a stranger to me. That does not sound like someone that's a best friend, because I know if I was in A's position and I was the best friend that could enact change and make things right, I would go to hell and back, raising that friend group up, being like, what the hell is going on? Who the hell do you think you are, B, to just uninvite her like that? You're insane and delusional if you think you can just get away with it and not have any reaction or repercussions for this. I would cause an immense fuss for my best friend to make sure that things were right, because you don't mess with my best friend like that when they've done nothing wrong. And they've done everything right in trying to make things right, and you haven't allowed them that opportunity. So, OP, I completely understand why you are hurt by your best friend not standing up for you, and I would take the advice of the comments and say, no, you are not expecting too much from your best friend, and maybe it's time to rethink this entire friendship group and whether you want to be involved with people like that going forward. And now, onto the update. So I wanted to make an update post because there have been some revelations. But first, here's a big congrats to the commenter on my last post asking if there is a man involved. It turns out there is. My best friend A calls me to chat a week after the whole uninvited situation happened. We talk like normal, and she tells me that she wanted to tell me the truth about what happened and why I was uninvited. Here is what she tells me. Basically, a weekend before we're supposed to go to the cabin for the girls' trip, we all went out for drinks at a bar. There was our entire girl group and a few other mutual friends. Basically, B was trying to set A up with one of the guys at that event, and turns out all of the girls in the group were upset with me because they thought that I was flirting with him, knowing that they were trying to set him and A up. This is news to me because I've given this man zero thought. This is all so out of left field. I just started laughing when A told me about this, because what the fuck? Let me clarify. I was not flirting with him. I didn't speak to him at all, except for a few minutes very late into the night. From my perspective, he was the one asking me about my dating life, how I feel about men, etc. I had a similar conversation with one of the other girls and guys when the topic came up with them. I was not flirting with those other girls and guys either. Also, I would never flirt with a guy knowing that my friend likes him. That's not the type of person I am. I thought that my friends knew that, and I really thought that A knew that about me. Anyways, I guess things were being whispered about me, which led to B uninviting me completely. This was not brought up before the girls' trip. A asked me if I found that guy attractive, and I said no. That's basically the only communication about this situation that I'm aware of. I don't know. I don't think I said anything flirtatious to him. I didn't ask him about his dating or sex life. I didn't touch him in any way. I didn't ask for his contact or anything. I was just being friendly. I just wish they'd asked me about the situation instead of assuming the worst of me. So yeah, I'm done being friends with these girls. It just feels like blatant slut-shaming. I'm hurt by A, but I clarified to her that I would never do that, and I'm sorry if my conversation with him looked flirtatious. I don't want to continue this fight because I have other priorities in my life. Thanks for your thoughts. Edit 1. Just wanted to say that I really appreciate your thoughts and your words of support. When A told me about this issue, I specifically told her that I don't want to be friends with people who assume the worst of me, and because I didn't want to argue, I just said A and I were fine. But I think you're right that she's also not been a good friend to me, and she did let her jealousy get in between our friendship. Our first confrontation, in my original post, was really hostile. She kept telling me that it's not her place to get involved and it's between B and me. But actually, this does have to do with A. And instead of telling me what was wrong, she just made me feel bad about being upset that I was excluded. I think I will kinda distance myself from her and we can be friends, but just not as close. As for the other girls in this group, screw 'em. I'm fine never hearing from them again. I have other friends who have my back. Thanks again. And as you should, OP, I respect you for making that choice. You have been incredibly disrespected throughout all of this, kept in the dark, and not supported by your supposed best friend. I think it's time to just cut your losses, move on, and spend time with the friends that really matter to you, because it sounds like you do have more of a community out there that doesn't involve themselves in bullshit like this. Thank you for the story, thank you for the update, and good luck. Our next post is by user Heavy Tadpole, and it's titled, Am I overreacting? My wife is talking to multiple strangers on Snapchat. So I happened to glance over at her phone while she was on Snapchat, and I saw her chat list was at least 5+ men, and I didn't recognize any of the names. I asked her about it, and she claimed that they're just random strangers that have added her, and they chat about normal things and share Snap stories. She says it's harmless conversations out of boredom and nothing sexual. I asked to see the conversations, and she reluctantly showed me that none of them have any active messages. I guess they delete after a period of time? I let it go, but I keep having this nagging feeling that something is off about it. I thought Snapchat was like for actual friends or people that you added specifically. I'm considering going through her phone. I don't want to be that guy if I'm being unreasonable or just out of touch on how that app works. Am I blowing up nothing in my head? Is this a normal thing? In the comments, Gold Firefighter says, what kind of boredom could a handful of Snapchat conversations with strangers possibly assuage? The app is not particularly entertaining from what I remember. It's suspicious as hell, to say the least. OP says, I've been wondering the same thing, to be honest. Green Machine replies, you can download her Snap data and it will have all of the conversations in the settings. Ask to see her Google Maps history for the last few weeks and see if it matches up with where she was supposed to be. I've been through a lot of shit with an ex and this is triggering to read. In fact, simplest way to find out if she's hiding anything is to ask her to give you her phone unlocked. If she has nothing to hide, it's not going to be an issue. Obviously, give her no pre-warning that you're going to do it by talking about it over text, etc. Edit to add. By default, Snapchat has it set to delete conversation after 24 hours. If you go to one of her chats and it's set to delete after reading, she's physically set that by herself. Also check the names of these guys on her socials to see if she's added these strangers as friends elsewhere. And OP says, I appreciate this. Sophisticated says, she's cheating on you. And OP says, I don't have any reason to think that she is physically cheated. This feels like approaching the line, but I guess maybe not if the conversations are never sexual. I don't know. Sophisticated replies, I'm not saying she's physically cheating with you. I'm saying that courting a bunch of different men on Snapchat is a form of cheating. I agree. And from my perspective, when I think of what there is to do on Snapchat, I think of the friends button constantly giving me notifications, and then I check it, and it's suggestions of people to follow, and they always have the most outrageous public stories, where to me, it always looks like they're just promoting their OnlyFans. And that, to me, seems like what the wife is doing here. It seems like she's talking to attractive men, that the Snapchat algorithm is promoting their very attractive public stories on, and getting attention from them on there. Whether those men are pushing their own OnlyFans content, which is definitely a thing, it's not just women, who knows? But if it were me, I would be very sus of her talking to strangers on Snapchat based entirely on my experiences with the app as a result of that. And that's also quite a new feature. I think it's only been in the last year that it started giving me those notifications being like, hey, we suggest you follow this person and consume their very horny content. So if I was OP, I would find that behavior very strange and very suspicious, and I'd want to know why she's doing it. Why do you need to talk to strangers on Snapchat? Why is that so important? And now, on to the update. Based on the comments from my original post and my own suspicions, I confronted my wife and asked to see her phone last night. She argued against it briefly, but did give me her phone. I saw that all but one of her conversations were old, and next to their names they all said received and were from 3 to 6 months ago. One at the top said opened 1 day ago. I looked at the map on there, and this man is local to us. When I clicked his name, there was a message that he saved that she sent him of a link to an address. I clicked it. It was a park near her work. She's denying anything happened, and they just talked, but never met. She's claiming to have gotten caught up in the attention and admitting that she knew they were flirting with her. That the link that she saw was just her sharing a nice park with the guy. That he added her randomly too, even though he's clearly from here and lives here. I can't believe a word she says. I left this morning, and I don't think I can go back today. In the comments, King of Side Hustles says, I don't even understand when things are going so well, women still dive into this type of action. She's clearly not ready for a marriage because she's still taking attention from many other guys. She clearly doesn't feel that you're the one that she wants to hollow down with. She just needs somebody to provide for her. You are the person that she wants to have to provide for her. But maybe she doesn't see you as fun or exciting, and that may be what she's looking for. Maybe she doesn't feel complete with you in some ways, and she's exploring to see if she can find it with another person. The problem she has is that if she's still going to keep herself on the market like this, then she needs to break up with you. Since she decided that she wants to cheat or potentially cheat instead, now you have the option to break up with her because of this. Women will always 1000% get attention throughout their lives. That's not going to be an excuse ever to potentially cheat on a partner. She needs to learn loyalty, and that's something that she hasn't grasped yet. You need to leave her and don't give her any chances, because she's already showing you at this stage of the relationship that she cannot keep herself away from their attention. She is your wife, she made a commitment, and she is not honoring it. I agree with him, OP. I think it's time to have those tough conversations that you need to have with your wife about this one, and ask her why she decided to cheat on you this way. There is no universe in which sending directions to a park near her work was anything other than cheating, and if you do believe that, I have a bridge to sell you. I hope you take the advice of the comments on this situation, action it in a way that respects you, and does not give her the benefit of the doubt. Good luck, OP. Sorry this is happening for you. You are still not overreacting. My 46 female, boyfriend 38 male, won't let me end the relationship. How do I get out of this? My boyfriend James refuses to let me end the relationship. We've been living together for a little over a year, and living together since November. Holy shit, you guys moved in fast. Before we moved in together, things were good. We lived in different areas, so most of our time together was over weekends. We got along well, talked often, phone and text, did things together, met each other's families, etc. If any issues arose, we talked about them and worked it out, which is why we decided to move in together. That's when things changed. After moving in together, he started to become more and more clingy, wanting to spend every available minute together. He started staying home a lot. I work from home, and we all of a sudden were constantly together. It started to become an issue, but when I tried to talk to him about it, it was my fault he was being that way. I wasn't giving him quality time, because being in the same room with someone isn't being together, just occupying the same space. So I made it a point to give him the one-on-one without distractions daily. It got worse. He started throwing tantrums. We'll get invited to go somewhere, and last minute he will decide that he doesn't want to go, but says that it's fine if I do. I won't be gone 30 minutes, and he'll start texting me, and he'll text non-stop the whole time. If I stop answering, I get messages that will say things like, "I won't be here when you get back," or "You're not going to like what you find when you do get back." Then when I do get back, doesn't matter if I come back right away or hours later, he's crying and telling me how neglectful and dismissive I am of his feelings. At first I listened and apologized, trying to be more mindful, but then his insecurities started. He started questioning if there was someone else. He said that it was his insecurities, nothing I was doing, but it's better to voice them and have my reassurance than to just let it fester. I disagree with that, but hey man, you live your life, brother. That made sense the first time, maybe the second time, but not the 15th time. We started arguing, because when exactly do I have the time for someone else? We are never apart for more than 10 minutes. It just got worse. He started arguments over nothing. Nothing would be going on, nothing would happen. He'd just come into the room yelling. He's read my journals, he either goes through my phone or has installed spyware on it. He questions me about things I've written in the journal or text messages, then tried to lie and say that he read it over my shoulder. This week has been the worst yet. We were out for dinner. He decided that it was the appropriate time to discuss things in our relationship in a very public, intimate dinner setting. We had been having a good day, no arguing, both enjoying the day, laughing not 5 minutes before this. I was immediately uncomfortable and very much on guard. I don't like airing my dirty laundry, and he knows this. He's insisting on talking about it right then and there. I said that it wasn't the time or place, but he doesn't stop. I'm not engaging. After a few minutes of this, he decides we need to leave because my demeanor is making him look bad. Everyone can see that something is wrong, and it's making him look bad. We got up and left without eating a meal that we'd already paid for. On the way home, I started to quietly cry, and he started yelling. He was driving erratically and too fast. I told him to slow down. He slammed on the brakes from 77 to full stop in the middle of the interstate twice. We're lucky we didn't cause an accident and hurt other people. He wouldn't let me out. This went on for the whole 2-hour ride home. I ended it that night. I told him that it's over. I'm not doing this anymore. That car ride was the last straw. He refuses to leave. Says if I want him out, I'll have to evict him. He begs, he cries, he takes my keys so I can't leave, he threatens to kill himself. I don't want to go to my aunt's because she doesn't need the drama. I have no other close family. I have nowhere else to go. I can start the eviction process, but that takes a month or longer. He just keeps saying that he can get better. I don't know if he can. I don't know what to do. Am I really going to have to deal with this until I can evict him? The police here won't do anything because he hasn't physically assaulted me. I tried a civil no contact. Judge said the same thing. I called a lawyer, same thing. Until he physically assaults me, there's nothing they can do to help me. How do I handle this? Edit, clarification. I've been married once. He was abusive, was sleeping with his first wife behind my back. Once the divorce was final, 2014, he remarried first wife. She died less than a year later under mysterious circumstances. 2 years after the divorce, he died of a massive heart attack. He has a son that I raised for years that is 17 now. Bro, what is your life? My mouth is agape. Oh my god. This is scarier than Final Destination. What the hell? My boyfriend died in 2017. He fell asleep while driving home from work, graveyard shift, crossed the center line and hit a semi head on. Steering column was pushed into his chest, broke his ribs, punctured his heart. He was pronounced dead at the scene. He was a mile from home. The next one was in 2018. He cheated and was an alcoholic. We split up October of 2023. I met my current boyfriend in December of 2023. I know not much time between the last two. OP, I think you need a lot of therapy. It really sounds like you didn't change anything and you repeated patterns here. Also, I'm not questioning if I should get out of the relationship, just how to handle this until I can get him out of my house. I own my home, so there is no landlord to speak of. I've called the police, a lawyer, and my county judge. All of them say that since he hasn't physically assaulted me, that there is nothing they can do to help. In the comments, Midgestat says, next time he threatens to hurt himself, call the cops. He's not sorry. He won't change. You're in danger, and you need to act like it. It's not drama, it's your safety. Talk to your aunt and your landlord. Forget that one, obviously OP is their own landlord. The quickest way to evict would be to get a protective order and request that he be forced to leave the place. They don't get 30-day notice. If he's a threat, he gets booted immediately. There are probably exceptions to that, but at minimum, it's worth trying. OP says, I own the home. Will they do anything if he just denies it? Won't it just be my word against his, in which case it's a civil matter and they won't do anything? Zesty replies, set up nanny cams, several of them. Hide a couple very well. Tell him that you're doing it for your protection, as you don't feel safe in your home. It's your house. You have the right. Either he will calm down for the cameras while you go through the eviction process, or he will flip out and start destroying anything that he thinks is a camera, and that will be on video. Definitely start the eviction process. Look online. There are lawyers that specialize in evictions. I know I sprinkled a few of my opinions throughout that one, but holy moly, Lord have mercy, what is OP's life? It just sounds like trauma after trauma after trauma. And genuinely, my heart goes out to you, OP. I don't think you deserve any of this. It's just my personal professional opinion. I don't think you deserved the string of crazy boyfriends and cheating and death that you went through. I'm so sorry about that. But I guess I got the timeline of the relationship wrong. If you got together in December of 2023, you moved in November of 2024. Yeah, that's 11 months in between. I guess it's not completely unheard of. I thought you only had been dating for like a few months and then he moved in. And in that case, I would have been like, you don't know this guy. You were so hasty and this is the result of that. I don't think I have the same smoke for an 11-month relationship in which then he moves in and then switches up and becomes this absolute creature because the mask has slipped. To me, it looks like, yeah, you just go with the nanny cam approach, getting a few in the house, but also if it becomes so untenable for you, you got to just live out of your car or something while the eviction goes on, and that is the choice that you have. It's unfortunate that you can't just break lease and get the hell out of Dodge. This is a situation in which it's like, yeah, you don't really have many options. and your stinky little mold boyfriend that's stinking up your property kinda just rules the roost with his mental illness and nonsense until you can evict him. And I know I said, like, sleeping out of your car and whatnot. Yeah, it's not a great option, but unless any of your other friends or family will take you in, it doesn't seem like you have too many other good options. And he is a threat to you. He's showing signs that he will kill himself, and he probably will kill you if you continue to be in the same space as him. It really just sounds like you need to start the eviction process and get the hell away from him for that entire time, lest your life be in danger. And I think a month away from home, roughing it out, is much better than dealing with the threat of death from someone unhinged like him. And now, on to the update. So it's been 4 months, and I thought that I would post an update. I took some of the advice and filed for an eviction a week after my original post. I switched bedrooms and placed locks on my bedroom and office doors. I tried to stay calm and not engage in arguments. I did my best to keep things smooth until eviction. He was not having it. He would go from crying to talking calmly to yelling daily. The more I refused to engage, the more volatile he became, the more aggressive he was. If I didn't respond to him within 5 minutes, text or in person, I was ignoring him. Didn't matter if I was working, driving, doing stuff around the house, or just sitting at home. It was exhausting, and I was just counting the days. Approximately 1 week until eviction, he was sending me texts while sitting in the same room as me. I finally told him that I was answering another message, and he sent 3 more long texts. I set my phone down and got up to leave the room. He attacked me before I got to the doorway. He knocked me to the ground, slammed my head and arm against the floor, tried to force himself on me, and then headbutted me. Gave me 2 black eyes. After this, he took my phone, loaded his things into the car, and left. This happened on a Friday evening. My cousin and a friend came to stay with me for the weekend. That night, my friend found a hidden camera in my fireplace. I took pictures and disconnected it. We spent the rest of the weekend looking for others. We didn't find any more, but did find a GPS tracker on my car. We also found my basement door that leads to outside had been tampered with. Also, my basement door leading into the house has a chain lock. Well, the bracket that's attached to the door frame had the screws clipped short and then pushed back into the frame, so that it would hold, but with just a bit of pressure, wouldn't hold, making the chain lock useless. I documented and took pictures of it all. He continued to call and make threats all weekend. He said he went back to his hometown, but I don't think he did. I think he sat in his car watching my house all weekend. The following Monday, I filed a no-contact order through the courts. That same day, he was arrested on his way back to his hometown, unrelated charges. I was granted the no-contact order. He is still in jail. The last couple of months have been a struggle for me emotionally. I didn't realize how much of a toll all of this had taken on my mental. I've been looking into therapy. I couldn't hurt any more at this point. My physical injuries healed up, no permanent damage, just swelling and bruising. That's it. I've just been working on me. He's still in jail, and I'm unsure of when he'll get out, but I'll be notified when he does get released. Thank you everyone for all of the advice. I really appreciate those that answered and gave advice. In the comments, Crematos says, just want to chime in as a former law enforcement worker. You should move. See if you can talk to a victim's advocate and they can help you find resources to move. Sometimes there are victim funds that pay for moving expenses. Even if you have to move into a DV shelter, you should not be anywhere he can find you. This kind of man is fully capable of killing you. Make sure law enforcement has all the details on the assault, your injuries, the trackers, everything. Because if someday you disappear, it will be his fault. Stay safe, keep vigilant, and I'm so sorry this man happened to you. I just want to add, if you do buy a new house, see if you can set up the ownership as an LLC. That way your name won't be a matter of public record. OP, you need to move for your own safety. This guy will kill you. Speak with a DV organization and consider not just moving house, but moving to another city. This guy will not stop and will get out of jail at some point. I see you got a no contact order, but you didn't have him arrested for assault. He really hurt you and should be in jail for years for this. I agree. And it seems like him being in jail is just the world allowing you time to sell your property and move cities. It isn't fair, and it isn't something that you should have to do. You should be allowed to stay in your city around your friends, family, and support network. But unfortunately, he decided that he is going to be that of a serial stalking murderer. It's not fair. People like this should not do the things that they do, but they do, and they will. And I hope that OP takes the advice of the comments and actions it. I'm sorry that happened to you, OP. You didn't deserve any of this, but thank you for coming back and sharing your story with us. Our next post is by user Dry Tangelo, and it's titled, "Would I be the asshole for stopping my neighbor from golfing in my yard?" I, 24 female, and my husband, 24 male, moved to a new town last December after I got a new job and bought a home. We love our new home, and a major thing that we love about it is the size of the yard. For it being smack dab in the middle of the city and less than a 5-minute drive from my work and any other convenience, it is almost an acre and unfenced. For around the neighborhood, this is one of the biggest lots. We didn't see a lot of our neighbors outside often since it was winter, but as things have gotten warmer, we have seen them outside more often, including Pete, fake name, 60 to 70s male. Our first encounter was watching him set up his golfing equipment in the easement next to our home and then promptly swinging multiple golf balls that landed in varying places around our yard. When asked what was happening, he introduced himself, explained that he lived in a home on the other side of the easement where he has the yard fenced all but on one side facing us, and said that the previous owner had let him golf in the yard as long as he picked up after himself, as it was, in his words, the best yard in the neighborhood. He also said that he had undergone major surgery in recent years, and golf is one of the few things that he can still do to be active. Not wanting to rock the boat and make a bad first impression, we simply asked that he please pick everything up if a ball so happened to land in our yard, and said that we would keep an eye out for if anything outside was damaged in the future. He said that he would pay for any damages and kept right along. Since then, he not only does not pick up all the golf balls, but we've found some in the flower beds right next to our windows. We've even caught him walking his dog all around our backyard, something we did not agree to. A few days ago, he had some teenagers with him trying to golf, and I could see them kicking up clumps of my yard as they tried to swing. My husband also mowed the lawn and found over 10 golf balls in one go, and about 4 had been launched out of our mower because they were missed in the initial sweep, barely missing his car. We've picked up probably 10 to 20 balls a week since moving in. Thankfully, nothing has been damaged so far, but we are growing tired of it and simply don't feel very comfortable with people who are basically strangers roaming our yard. We also had planned initially to fence as much of it off as we could because we would like to get a dog and give it a place to run around without having to stress so much about them getting into the street. However, we've not been very aggressive about our issue to Pete, and I worry about hurting his feelings if we blindside him with putting a fence up. Should we tell him about the fence beforehand or give him a heads up? At the end of the day, he is just an older gentleman trying to play some golf, but on the other hand, we had wanted a fence to begin with and want peace of mind about what is happening on our property. I would also like to point out that there's an indoor golf simulator nearby and golf courses around. Would I be the asshole if we just put up a fence without telling him, or even if we have a conversation about how he can't golf in our yard anymore? In the comments, Pixie Ann says, "Well, first of all, fuck Pete. If the old bastard had a single ounce of courtesy, he would have come over and introduced himself to the new owners of the property before he invaded your space and privacy by playing golf on your land. If he had any courtesy, he would ensure that he picked up all golf balls as promised, and he would have asked first to bring extras over. Stop fretting about Pete's feelings, because I can guarantee you that Pete doesn't give a single toss about yours. Go and tell him, stating immediately that there is no more golf playing or walking dogs or accessing your property for any reason at all. He's been taking complete advantage of your kindness, and now you need to end it. He'll probably have some pathetic sob story about why he needs access. Harden your hearts and don't believe him for a minute. He can find somewhere else to play golf and walk the dogs just like everybody else has to. Not the asshole. Maleficent Theory says, pull out your survey and call a fence company. Get your estimates and set an installation date. Start collecting the balls and keep them in a bucket for a week. Then walk over to Pete's house with the collection and remind him that he said that he would pick them all up. Let him know how many your husband has run over mowing the lawn and tell him as of the installation date, there will be a fence on your property and he isn't allowed to hit balls at the fence or enter your yard. Nope. Don't give any of the balls back. Not one. If Pete doesn't pick them up, then he doesn't get them back. Just make sure they've all been hit by the lawnmower before giving them back. You own the land. You don't need to have a discussion with this man about your property. If there's any tension, he's created it by taking advantage of you and your husband, not the asshole. Just tell him that he didn't live up to his agreement of picking up after himself, and the offer of using your yard is now rescinded. Any further usage of your yard will be considered trespassing. Then get cameras and follow up with the police from there on after. Not the asshole. I wonder if he even had an agreement with the previous owner. My money is on that he didn't actually have an agreement with the previous owner, and he's just doing this to take the piss. That absolutely sounds like a 60 to 70-year-old man thing, where they know they can just bulldoze a new young couple who's trying to make a good impression, and he'll just be like, oh no, things have always been like this. Yeah, I can disrespect you and your property. Don't you care about me and my physical health? I know I have plenty of options to do this golfing around everywhere else, but I'd rather do it right here and walk my dog in your yard as well. I know that wasn't a part of the agreement, but now that I'm here, I'm also going to let my dog shit in your yard, and I'm going to invite a bunch of strangers into your yard as well, because I'm an old man who needs the physical exercise. Go to hell, Pete. Honestly, Pete, go to hell. I'm going to say that OP is not the asshole for stopping the neighbor from golfing in the yard. And tall fences make good neighbors. You protect your peace, OP. You protect your acreage. And you keep this stinky old man and his stinky balls off of your property. Now that's an order. And now, on to the update. So we went and talked to Pete and said just about what everyone else here wanted him to say. We were done getting our yard trampled on. It was a matter of time before his golf balls damaged something else, and we were not ignorant to him using our yard also as a dog park. His response? Asking if we even remembered his name. We did, which probably took away his retort, because he just said that he would stop playing in our yard. We also had security cameras put up around the house outside and told him that we had recorded this conversation, which, where we're from, makes the conversation legal to take to court since we notified him of its existence. We also said that it will tell us if anyone makes their way back to our yard. Overall, I don't think he's too happy with us, but we are too done to care. We were concerned at first enough to post because we were both taught to respect elders, and we are first-time homeowners in a new town where we don't know a lot of people. We wanted to get along as much as we could, but I suppose Pete will be the exception. Also, for those asking if we were returning the golf balls, of course not. We have a large collection now, and will be giving them to the local high school golf team. Also, we've both received generous bonuses from our work the past week, so this fence will be going up even sooner than we anticipated. Thank you for all of your insights. And for those that thought this was AI, I wish it was. Unfortunately, this was a real and odd situation, but hopefully now it is over. In the comments, Complete Debt says, hopefully he doesn't make trouble. Nah, he was born making trouble by the sounds of it. Same here, though a little bit of me hopes that he does make a little bit of trouble so OP can go after him legally and show all the proof of him being unneighborly and doing what he does. Selling them back to him would be amusing. $1 a ball would help with that fence cost. Do you want to be petty level 100? You start playing golf in your front yard, hitting all of his balls back onto his yard. It's all well and good to be all keyboard warrior about what you should and shouldn't do in a situation like this and Petty level 100. Big wholesome chungus. Oh my god, I'm gonna get the heckin' revengerino, guys. But no, like, retaliation always gets you in more trouble than the person starting it, unfortunately. Plus, then he has reason to start intentionally damaging your property, and do you really want to deal with that hassle and nonsense? I don't know. Keep Pete and his stinky balls on the other side of the fence that you're putting up now, OP. I think that's a very good idea of yours. Stick to the plan. I hope you come back and tell us more drama about Pete. That would be lovely. And also, I think it's hilarious that you did remember his name, because I want to know what he had to say. I want to know what his retort was. Oh, you didn't even remember my name? Well, how can you remember that I was ever on your yard? Huh, checkmate, atheists. Something like that. Anyway, you handled this one spectacularly. Good job for having a collective titanium spine. Sounds like you guys have this sorted out. Again, thank you for bringing it to our attention, because I enjoyed this story. Thank you. Again. Am I the asshole for refusing to share my birthday with my stepmother? My stepmother's birthday is the day after mine. Since my father started dating her, about 10 years ago, I've been expected to share almost every celebration that we make for my birthday with her. I was fine with it because I was in my early 20s and had other people to celebrate with, namely my mum and my friends. But it still bothered me that my dad and I couldn't have our own thing. I am married with 2 kids, 8 male and 3 female, and we have a little tradition. Because I was born in the second half of June, there's usually a Pixar movie playing in the theaters. Every year on my birthday, we go to the movies to watch it and then have dinner together. We've been doing this since my son was 3, though we watched the movies at home in 2020 and 2021. This year, we're watching Inside Out 2. It'll be my daughter's first time joining us. She just started sitting through movies, so we're all very excited. I'd never told my father or stepmother about this tradition. Last week, while we were visiting them, my kids told them that we'd be going to the movies for my birthday, and I ended up explaining everything. The next day, my father and stepmother called me to tell me that they were paying for the whole family, me, kids, husband, and both of them, to go to the movies and have dinner, just like I had planned. It was obvious they intended to celebrate my stepmother's birthday at the same time. They referred to it as our birthdays and suggested her favorite place for dinner. I told them that while I understood that it was close to her birthday as well, this is a tradition intended to only celebrate mine, and I prefer to enjoy it with my children and husband. As such, I prefer to pay for myself and would appreciate it if they didn't join us. They are both very upset. My father called me entitled for refusing to celebrate my stepmother's birthday as well as mine, and said that I'm sending a terrible message to my kids by refusing to share. I feel like I'm too old to be acting like this over my birthday, but I don't want to share this tradition with her. Am I the arsehole? In the comments, Miss Susie Sunshine says, not the arsehole. First of all, they invited themselves to the movie celebration. You didn't invite them. That was rude of your father. Secondly, how awful to have to always share your birthday celebration with the new wife. Why can't you have a celebration of your own? It's almost as though your father thinks no one will come if the celebration is only for the new wife. Lastly, your father is the one sending a terrible message to your kids by making sure they know how unimportant your birthday is to him that he forces you to share it with the new wife. It's sad that the wife can't be the voice of reason and say, it's okay, we can do mine separately. But she isn't. She too is upset about it. Talk about entitled. Not you. I would tell them that this is a family tradition between you, your kids, and your husband, and that they're welcome to create their own family traditions for the new wife that don't include your family, and that all of you can get together at some later date to celebrate the both of you. Professional Ruin says, if OP is too old to be feeling proprietary over her own birthday celebration, then her dad's wife is way too old to be hijacking OP's birthday and crying over having to acknowledge that OP deserves her own celebration. Who doesn't deserve their own celebration? There are identical twins that have separate birthday celebrations throughout their whole lives because they each deserve to have an event where they are the celebrated person. Hold your ground, OP. You deserve your own party. Introduction OK says, not the asshole. Even if this was your own mother's birthday, or you had a great relationship with your stepmother, you're allowed to have family traditions exclusive to your spouse and kids, and want to celebrate with your own family. The family you made is now your top priority, not the family that you came from. Sounds like your dad is too lazy and entitled to come up with his own celebration for you and his wife, so he's hijacking your celebration. Understandable that feelings are going to be hurt in a situation like this, but in my point of view, their feelings deserve to be hurt because they didn't take into account how you would feel about them hijacking your plans. They just said, oh no, we'll pay for everything, but we get to decide how your special day goes. Well then, sorry, that's not happening. You can pay for everything if you'd like, but you don't get control over the event. You weren't specifically invited to this for a reason, because it's our family tradition. My kids just so happened to slip up and reveal that we were doing this. But wouldn't you think that, given the fact we've been doing this for a good 5 or more years now, you would have known about it by now if you were invited, and all of a sudden, you're finding out 5 years after. Newsflash, because you're not invited. So don't be upset and don't be pissed off when we refuse to share my birthday with you too. I think it's good and reasonable to have boundaries around things like this, because if you give them this one, what else will they be overstepping in the future and then be like, well, you let us do it before, we think it's perfectly reasonable to do it in this instance as well. Not the arsehole. And now, onto the update. I posted here about a year ago and meant to update, but completely forgot about it. Still, I was very grateful for your replies, so I wanted to let you know what's been going on. First of all, as I write this, I've just celebrated my birthday, June 22, with my husband and kids. We watched Elio in the theaters and went to a restaurant that I love. It was wonderful. My father and stepmother were not involved, as they've traveled for her birthday. Secondly, your comments on my first post, as well as some other things I had going on in my life at the time, led me to reflect a lot about my relationship with my father. I've chosen to save the majority of that for therapy, but what's most relevant here is that I realized I don't really know how to celebrate my birthday. I've been expected to prioritize what others wanted since I was a teenager. The things we'd do and the places I'd celebrate at were rarely my picks, and always for someone else's benefit. Whenever I said anything about that, I would get told that I was acting spoiled. My stepmother's presence made it a lot worse. At least when I was younger, it still felt like it was about me. I genuinely love the birthday tradition that I have with my family, but I have no idea what I'd like to do otherwise. One day, me or my children might grow out of this, or these films will plummet in quality to a degree that even I can't defend. If that time comes, I need a backup plan. I've spent the majority of the last year discovering things that I genuinely enjoy doing. I'm almost always busy at work, so I'm still working on it, but I have made some progress. Turns out, I love pinball, painting, board games, and building miniatures. My abilities on all of the above range from mediocre to awful. But I have time to learn, and the list keeps growing. My husband just got me a huge Lego set for my birthday. We started working on it after the kids went to bed, and it will take us a while to finish it, but I love it already. As for my father and stepmother, after our celebration last year, which they didn't hijack as some of you thought they would, things were rough for a while. I ended up having a few long conversations with my father about our relationship. Most relevant here, I made it very clear that the fact we couldn't at least celebrate my birthday privately upset me a lot, and I will not share my birthday with my stepmother anymore. Overall, our relationship is doing alright. Not great, but it's better than last year. I do feel like it's something that we're both working on improving. I think that's everything. Thanks everyone. In the comments, Riker Omega 3 says, as someone who has shared their birthday their entire life with multiple family members, good on you for standing up for yourself. I don't even celebrate my birthday anymore. I just go out to eat with my folks, and that's it. No cake, no gifts, just a dinner out. My birthday was never special growing up, never special during my adult life, so I just gave up and accepted that it's not special to anyone but me. So I treat myself to something I want but don't need, like buy myself an expensive steak. And that's it. I don't think I would even know what to do if someone prioritized my birthday. It would feel so foreign to me. And I guess my opinion, well, the truth comes out. Who would have thought that the father had set a precedent by just not prioritizing OP at all in her life, and that there were many more stories to be told, most of which only therapy can process. It's an unfortunately common tale when you find stories like this where people have been treated like a doormat and become conditioned to being a doormat in many situations like this. And it really sucks to see, and I imagine it takes a lot of work to undo all of the damage over the years of being treated as such, and then having to combat situations exactly like that come up again later in life. Like right now, you have 2 kids, and he still expects you to act like the doormat that he made you to be in your early years. It's not easy. It's not easy to deal with situations like this, and I'm glad that you came and got extra help, extra validation to tell you that you are doing the right thing. Put yourself first. You are not wrong for telling them to piss off. As you should, OP. Good job, and I'm proud of you. Thank you for the story. Our next post is by user Soggy Biscuit, and it's titled, "Am I the asshole here for punching my mum's boyfriend after he shoved my dog off the couch so aggressively it landed awkwardly on the floor, whimpered in pain, and couldn't stand on its leg afterwards? My mum's boyfriend, male 40s, does not like dogs. He doesn't have a phobia or anything, he just does not like them and has said so himself. He came over and him and my mum were sitting next to each other watching TV while I, 19 male, was on the couch just playing on my phone. He got up to go to the bathroom and my dog jumped on the couch and sat where he was sitting. When he came back and noticed that the dog took his spot on the couch, he shoved it so hard it fell on the floor, yelped and whimpered, and couldn't stand up on its leg. It was a very hard shove, and it all happened so fast, but when I registered what just happened, I stood up, quickly walked up to him and punched him as hard as I could, and then gently picked up my dog. My mum yelled at me, asking me what's wrong with me, while her boyfriend got up all in my face, swearing at me and threatening to beat me up, but my mum got in between us. I took my dog to the vet, and he had a broken leg and needed surgery. I had to use all the money that I've been saving up to make the surgery happen. My mum didn't even contribute a penny. Despite all of this, she's still mad at me for punching her dog, boyfriend, and doesn't understand why I acted that way over a dog. She wanted me to apologize to him, but this is the hill that I will die on." In the comments, Awesome Luck says, "Not the asshole. Tell him that you'll report him to the SPCA if he doesn't cover the bill. I would make him cover the bill and then report it. Fuck him and people like him. Animal cruelty comes with jail time these days. Cannot second this enough. Report the psycho. Time to move out, bud. For your safety and your health and the health of your pet. Do you have any family that can help?" OP says, "I wish I did. This incident and other ones in the past where my mum took his side even when he was in the wrong is the reason that I've been saving up to move out, but with everything that happened, that's not going to happen anytime soon." Sometimes no replies, "I bet there are people in your life that would give you support that you don't even realize. Do any of your friends or teachers/boss know how bad it is at your home? Well then move out and figure out how to pay for it later. That's the advice that I wish someone gave me as a 19-year-old. I'm giving it to you now. When your mum finally gets around to calling, don't answer. She's made her choice, and until this runs its course, she is not choosing you." OP says, "If only I could. It's literally impossible for me and my pup to move out right now. I now have less than $200 to my name. I have no choice but to start saving up from scratch. I won't look back once I'm out though." EDW Buck says, "That's the mentality that I had, and it didn't serve me well. Find a friend, ask if you can crash at his place. Treat him and his family like a king because you know how much they mean to you. Move into someone's garage. Live without heat or AC. You don't know how bad you have it until that kind of living starts to look good. Now that you gut-punched her boyfriend, do you really think it's going to get better? I mean, is he suddenly going to realize he's been a lesser version of himself for years, and now it's time to turn a new leaf? Do you think your mum's going to finally realize her son is right and she needs to whip her man, and not her son, into shape? If you examine the situation for even a few minutes, or even a day, you'll know it's going to be the same tomorrow as it was yesterday, or worse, because now you're the one that can become violent. If you had a voice in the matter that could speak reasonably and be heard, it would have been heard by now. I think that's some good grounded advice. Whether OP takes it or not is completely up to them. I would like to see them action that advice and get out of the abusive situation that they are in, though I understand it is not always possible. Everyone has different circumstances that allow or negate for different things to be possible in their life. This strong and passionate individual within me wants to say, get the hell out of there. Go stay with a friend until you can get yourself on your feet, because yeah, what they're saying is true. It's not going to get better. You're not going to be treated with the respect that you deserve. And you know that, and you should know that. You should do better for yourself now while you still can. I don't think you're the asshole for punching your mum's boyfriend. What he did was disgusting, and your mum should have recognized it as such, because animal abuse is the first sign of abuse that's going to be targeted towards you. Or it's also a very good indicator of a psychopath that is ready to kill people, who knows? But that's a choice that she, as your mother OP, is making, and it won't go well for her. I can guarantee you that. She will learn her lesson eventually when she sows what she reaps. I don't think you're the asshole in this situation, but I do hope that you can dig your way out of this hole that you now find yourself in. And now, on to the update. I want to thank all who replied to my post. I appreciated the validation and reassurance that I wasn't an asshole for my reaction, and that most people would have done the same thing. A lot of the commenters made me realize that we needed to move out ASAP because my dog was in danger after what happened. So many possibilities that I hadn't considered, and it got me thinking, what if something worse than last time happened? The reality is, I can't protect him whenever I'm at work or out, and anything could happen because my mum still let that scumbag come over and he's still pissed off at me. But the feeling is mutual. I feel like I would be failing my dog by not trying every single avenue I could to get us out of that hostile environment, because waiting until I save up enough money to be able to afford moving out would take a while, and I was not prepared to rehome him like some comments suggested. I reached out to everyone I could think of, and for the most part I was turned down because of my dog. But a friend of mine talked to his uncle and explained my situation and its urgency, and the uncle agreed to let my pup and I stay in his backyard shed for now while I try to find something more permanent for us. So this morning, I packed my bags and the dog's things, and we went there. It's not much, but the most important thing is that my pup is safe now while I figure things out, and I'm also looking for a second job, so fingers crossed. I did talk to my mum before we left to explain why we are moving out, and just to tell her how I feel about everything, but it turned into an argument about how I don't want to see her happy because I'm going out of my way to paint her boyfriend as a monster, which he is? So that was that. Thank you for all the caring and encouraging comments. In the comments, Fiesta Fan says, her boyfriend is a monster. People who abuse animals will abuse their partner eventually. And OP says, I really hope that it doesn't get to that. Winterworld says, why the hell haven't you reported him for animal cruelty? He broke your dog's leg. He can face jail time for that. I've seen it happen. Fucking get his ass locked up for God's sake. I'm an NPC, so what says, I'm sorry you're dealing with this, but good job keeping yourself and your pets safe. When your mother eventually wisens up or gets injured herself, she might come back and apologize to you. Good luck to her, and good luck to you and your pup. And OP says, thank you. I would never have been able to live with myself if anything happened to him when I could have prevented it. As for my mum, I really hope she knows what she is doing. I'm an NPC, so what replies, She doesn't sound like the best person. I've been in abusive situations, and I know they're hard to get out of, but I'm not a mom. No, she doesn't sound like the best person, and she doesn't sound like she knows what she's doing, because, I don't know, it's 2025? Have we not repeated enough times that people that abuse animals will abuse you? It's not even an if at this point. It's just happened so much. Have we not beaten society over the head with true crime documentaries that prove that fact? He's just following the manipulator playbook. He's isolating OP's mom, getting all her support systems away from her, normalizing abuse, normalizing animal abuse, getting her to defend it, getting her to defend everything about this guy. Like, if I was OP, I'd be doing the same thing. I'd be getting the hell out of there with the dog as fast as possible before the dog ends up dead, reporting that guy to as many agencies as possible to make sure that something is done about him, getting a restraining order, and telling as many people as possible how much of a psychopath he is, and telling her that she's going to end up dead if she stays with this guy. Still would not be an asshole regardless, and I think he deserves another punch to his gut for being the terrible person that he is. Thank you for the story, OP. Thank you for doing the right thing here, and showing that it is possible to get out of situations like this, even when you have no money. I hope things continue to look up for you. Our next post is by user Cotton Candy Dragons, titled, "Am I the asshole for telling my brother-in-law that someone is going to punch his girlfriend one day?" Continuing on the punching stories. So my older sister recently got married to her long-term fiancé. They are both polyamorous and both have a separate partner each. I have met my sister's boyfriend a few times at holiday events, and he was really nice. My brother-in-law's girlfriend is named Sally, and I've met her once before at their engagement party, and she seemed nice, but she also seemed like the type of person who wants to be the center of attention. She talked over everyone, insisted on helping my sister open any gifts they received, and she even told people that she's the reason my sister and my brother-in-law were getting married because she is officiating the wedding. It all rubbed me the wrong way, but as long as my sister and brother-in-law were cool with it, who was I to say anything? Things did get a little weird towards the end of the party, however, because Sally got pretty drunk and started very loudly proclaiming how monogamy was ruining relationships and was disgusting. That the only real reason people aren't open with their love is because they are scared, insecure, jealous, and controlling. This made most of the people left at the party visibly uncomfortable, and most left soon after because she wouldn't stop. Even after my brother-in-law took her aside and told her to calm down. I was helping my sister clean up from the party when Sally started questioning me about my stance. My boyfriend had to work, so he wasn't at the party. My sister tried to squash the discussion, but Sally ignored her and asked again. I very calmly explained that I tried polyamory once and quickly realized that it wasn't for me and that I was now in a very happy monogamous relationship, but totally support non-monogamous relationships. Sally started to say something, but my sister very firmly told her that she was drunk and to go lay down. She rolled her eyes, but did stomp back to the bedroom. My sister then explained how Sally was usually very nice, but did make being poly her whole personality, which had caused problems before. Flash forward a few weeks later to the wedding itself, everything went great. It was beautiful, and everyone seemed happy. During the reception, my boyfriend and I were talking to my mum, and Sally approached us to say hi. She's met my mum quite a few times, and my mum is the type to love everyone. My mum reintroduced me, and also introduced my boyfriend. Nothing seemed off. We all said our pleasantries, and that was it. A little later, my boyfriend went to get some drinks for us while I danced with my sister. It was taking him longer than I expected, so I went to go looking for him. To my surprise, he was being cornered by Sally near the drink table. His back was literally to the wall, and every time he took a step away from her, she would step closer. She was also rubbing his arm in a flirty way. I couldn't hear what she was saying to him, but the relief on his face when he saw me told me everything I needed to know. The only thing I did hear was her whining, "Oh, come on." I walked up and grabbed my drink from his hand, which finally made her take a few steps back. I asked what they were talking about, and she very bluntly and flirtatiously replied, "I was just telling him how much I love gingers." My boyfriend, obviously, is a ginger. I simply told her, as calmly as I could, to stop being an effing see you next Tuesday, and there were plenty of single people at the wedding that she could hit on. She said something back, but I was already pulling my boyfriend away and didn't hear nor care. The rest of the night was uneventful, other than normal wedding fun. A few days later, my brother-in-law texted me to say I needed to apologize to Sally because flirting with people is part of her personality and she didn't do anything wrong. OP, your brother-in-law is delusional. I told him that one day she's going to come across someone less nice than me and she's going to get her shit rocked. My brother-in-law thinks I'm being petty and an asshole. My sister and my mum think I was justified and that Sally was being disrespectful. In the comments, Zarian Vale says, "Not the asshole. There's a difference between being poly and being messy. Your sister and her boyfriend might be open, but that girl is wide open in all the worst ways. No one asked her to give a keynote speech on how monogamy is evil and then follow it up by stalking your ginger boyfriend like she was trying to unlock a cheat code. Flirting is her personality is not the defense that he thinks it is. Assault is technically a personality trait too. Doesn't make it okay. You were not mean. You were setting a boundary the loudest way that she would finally understand. Maybe the only reason she hasn't gotten slapped yet is because people like you are still trying to be semi-civil. She needs to chill or someone's gonna flirt with her jawline." OP replies, "It definitely felt like she was targeting me specifically, and my boyfriend became a casualty and victim. Part of me feels like she secretly wanted me to cause a scene and potentially ruin the wedding, but that could also just be me overthinking. This whole thing has also made me look at my brother-in-law in a whole different light." With a dull adhesiveness replies to OP, "The fact that your brother-in-law condones and defends her behavior is concerning to say the least. He does not understand respect and boundaries and encourages Sally to hide behind her poly personality to cross boundaries. This makes me very concerned for your sister. It's wild. Poly just means that she's open to multiple sexual and/or romantic relationships at the same time. It does not mean that anything with her desired genitals is free game, or that they are obligated to tolerate unwanted sexual or romantic advances. Responsible polyamory preaches respect of boundaries, your own and others, communication, and respecting a no when you hear one. She doesn't sound poly. She sounds like a sex pest, an attention grabber who just likes using polyamory as an excuse. I too am concerned for OP's sister, because Sally sounds like the type of person who would throw a royal fit and cause drama within the relationship when sister starts getting more attention than herself and probably has. Quote, flirting with people is part of her personality? That's not a personality trait. That's a choice. Flirting with non-single, monogamous people who don't want it is sexual harassment. Not the asshole. I'm less nice than you, but my husband, who is frickin' gorgeous and gets hit on a lot, is even less nice than me. He scared off my ex-best friend so badly after she propositioned him that she hasn't popped her head back up in 20 years. And he did it all by using his words. It was glorious. OP says, "My poor boyfriend is so socially anxious, he just kept telling her, no thank you, even when she wasn't asking a yes or no question. I told him that he doesn't owe anyone kindness, especially if they're making him uncomfortable, but he just wants to get away from her, and I get that." And back up to the post, we have an update. So I talked to my sister and brother-in-law. We are going to get together tonight along with my boyfriend and have a sit-down conversation about this. According to my sister, who read the text exchange between my brother-in-law and Sally about the situation, shit isn't adding up. Brother-in-law wanted to invite Sally so she could defend herself, and I absolutely vetoed that. I was not going to have my boyfriend's harasser in the same room as him. I will update once I know more. Yeah, no, I think my opinion on this is that she was just sexually harassing him, and the brother-in-law is completely cool with it. And if he can condone this absolutely disgusting Diddy-like behavior at his wedding, of all places, Like, come on, time and place. Imagine what else she does when you're not looking that he is well aware of, behind closed doors or out in the open world, who knows? If this is something that he can come down on you for and be like, how dare you come after this gorgeous, gorgeous, beautiful, perfect woman, I can't imagine what else she's doing out there. And yeah, OP, I would look at him differently after this because what the hell? This is not normal. Don't give me that flirting with people as part of her personality bullshit. No, we have standards and rules in society, and she is flagrantly floundering around them. You cannot be a flagrant flounderer in this day and age and think you can get away with it. There are consequences for your actions, believe it or not, and I hope the karmic hammer of justice slaps her across the face when someone does match her equal rights with equal lefts in the future. Because that's what's gonna happen. And she will have deserved it when it does happen because she's not checking herself, he's not checking her, someone else will check her out. Probably not in the way that she's expecting it to happen. So, maybe take this as a lesson to disconnect from these people, OP. Go into that conversation with an open mind, but expect that it's not going to go the way that you want it to. Thank you for the story. Looking forward to what happens next. Am I the asshole here for not wanting my mother-in-law's help once the baby arrives? I, 34 female, entered the relationship with 1 child, 16 male, while my husband, 37 male, has no children. After several attempts with extensive genetic testing, we are finally pregnant with a healthy baby girl. Initially, when my mother-in-law asked to plan the baby shower, I agreed, and it seemed like a no-brainer. Especially since we've gotten along well for the last 12 years. I'm currently pursuing my BA in psychology, and when my mother-in-law began to plan the baby shower, I was too busy with work and school to really participate. I told my husband that I was getting overwhelmed, and he told her to wait until our semester ended to begin planning. She did not listen and continued to call me, bombarding me with her desires. Every time I attempted to give my input, she would shoot my ideas down, prompting me to have a separate baby shower for just my family. When the semester ended, my husband asked if we could just have 1 baby shower and that his mum would be flexible to the changes that I want. I hesitantly agreed, which was probably one of the worst decisions I've made. Did I forget to mention that this is my mother-in-law's first grandchild? So now that the planning process is underway, I noticed that my mother-in-law had not actually planned a baby shower, but a backyard reveal. She didn't invite anyone from my generation, refused to allow children to attend, ordered catered food that I cannot eat, and did not buy any decorations. Oh, that sounds lovely. She sounds sane and cool. All she did was landscape her backyard. When I expressed my concerns to my husband, he spoke with his mum, and she pretended to agree with what I want, but secretly had her own vision all the while. Yesterday, she asked me to come over and give my input on where to put stuff, and when I was there, she blatantly ignored everything I wanted. I expressed that it felt less about the baby shower and more about her showing off her yard, and that my feelings were getting hurt. She straight up told me that she didn't care and would not accommodate my wishes. What a fucking asshole. I don't care. I'm not gonna accommodate your wishes. I don't care. That's so funny. When I spoke to my husband about it, he immediately took her side, and I just hated his mum and wanted to take the shine away from her. Oh no, you're having a child with this man. No. He went on and on about how she had helped us over the years, and how I sounded ungrateful, ignoring all that I have done for her in return over the years. I proclaimed that I love his mum, and that this occasion should not be about her. It should be about us having a baby. After 45 minutes of arguing and crying, he eventually came around and agreed to speak to her for me. But the damage had already been done. I now feel like he'll always take her side over mine, and am rethinking allowing her to help with the baby altogether. Meanwhile, he keeps pushing her on me. I asked him if he was ready to stay in the hospital with me for 3 to 5 days after the C-section, and he caught me totally off guard by saying, why can't his mum and my sister take a day? When I expressed that I don't want visitors before the baby is fully vaccinated, he said he wants to accept all the help he could and that I was sounding crazy for not wanting help during my time off from work. I told him that I do want help, but from him, and didn't want to be pawned off on his family. I am now 34 weeks pregnant and am more stressed than I could have imagined, on top of feeling betrayed by my husband. I cannot shake the feeling that if I allow her to watch the baby, she will not follow any rules that I have in place. So am I the asshole here for no longer wanting her to help with the baby after she's born? In the comments, Churros Potatoes says, "Not the asshole. They've never done anything that you actually wanted. You've had a kid before, you know the game plan. You know that these people will not be helping you. You need to have a sit-down discussion with husband. Whose kid is this again? His mum's or yours? He needs to stand by you, not by his mum. Also, security is pretty good at the hospitals. It'll keep anyone that you don't want there out. Use them. And also congratulations, and try not to stress too much." Scarlett May West says, "Not the asshole. Love my husband, but he was too eager to please his parents for way too long. His parents despised me. They didn't want me pregnant, thus proof we were having sex, but damned if mother-in-law did not want to come help us when the baby was born. He invited her without telling me beforehand. I was less than pleased. It was hell. She could not stop with outdated advice. However, I was not willing to play nice, and mother-in-law did not get to hold the baby until the night before she left. Husband learned his lesson for baby too. Your husband seriously needs to understand that your pregnant ass is more important than his poor mummy's grandbaby rabies. I think a couple of sessions with a therapist will be helpful." Am I the asshole here for having heard so many different versions of this before and just wanting people to railroad the husband with an ultimatum and be like, look at all the disrespect that you allowed, you facilitate, and you also enable? Because what the hell was that backyard goddamn Better Homes and Gardens bullshit that your mum's pulling on me? Seriously, what's going on? Where are all my friends? Where's my generation? Am I in the boomer brigade? Obviously not to downplay boomers, but if you surround OP with geriatrics, and not people... sorry, I'm so sorry. And not people of OP's generation, that's not going to go down well. Yes, make my baby shower all about you. Because if you think about it logically, your baby's birth and existence is actually all about me. This is my time to shine. Not you guys, not the baby. What about my garden and my 300 bags of mulch, huh? I just don't get it. I don't think OP's the asshole for not wanting mother-in-law's help once the baby is born. She sounds like a demon. I hate her already. She is a vile, disgusting woman. And her presence is going to send OP to the psych ward through the sheer brain damage that her face and her attitude will cause to OP. So no, not the asshole, but you gotta pull that man into place, somehow, some way. And now, on to the update. Thank you for all the advice. After taking a few days to chew on your responses and feedback from my family, I decided to take a page from my mother-in-law's book and take over her garden party. I invited about 50 of my own guests from my generation, had my sister cook food that I can eat, which is challenging with gestational diabetes, and ordered decorations that actually say baby shower. I went no contact with mother-in-law until today. She began to discuss the baby shower and what I was planning to change, but I cut her off, stating that I couldn't handle the stress and would just let my sister handle everything tomorrow. I also told her that her son should be the point of contact because we do not want to stress out the baby. I also plan to have my son stay with me for a day in the hospital, and my 2 older sisters will both take a day instead of his family. That's it for now. We'll update after the shower tomorrow. And as of this recording, it's been 3 days. They have not come back to update. I'm so sorry. In the comments, Lata Addicted says, I read your original post, and I feel I hate your husband. What a piece of shit for treating you like this. I'm sorry, but it seems that the apple didn't fall far from the tree. I'm so sorry you had to deal with his bullying on top of his mother's bullying. I'm glad you have your family's support though. Take care, OP. I second this. Your husband's a complete arse and terrible partner. Set the boundaries now. The end. I can't wait for the update after the shower. Mother-in-law is gonna lose her mind, and it will be glorious. Good on OP for taking control right out of her hands. How has your husband reacted to all of this? He seemed unsupportive of you in your last post. OP says, he knows and has chosen to go along with whatever I say or deal with my manipulative tears that I can use on demand. I'm not going out. Right. Does he know about any of the scheming that OP has done? I mean, good for her, but that's gonna go really poorly if he doesn't know. OP says he knows and realizes he needs to get in line or he too will be on the chopping block. Damn, alright OP. Assumption Fast says, I've never wanted to be invited to a baby shower more in my life. Also, your husband sucks and needs to cut the umbilical cord. What is it with men and their mothers these days? I have a son, and I swear if he was clingy like some of these, I'd be horrified. OP says, this has sparked convos with my son about him respecting me while taking his partner's side over mine's. God damn, another strong, independent person with a spine. You love to see it, OP. Thank God she is taking the advice of the commenters and whipping that man into place because, yeah, he did disrespect her. His behavior towards her was that of a bully, and it was disgusting. And it's about damn time that he gets some consequences for his actions. Because, yes, that marriage will be on the chopping block if he continues to side with his dearest mother, his lovely little mother who can do no wrong, with her better homes and gardens bullshit. I say chuck 'em both in the flaming basket of assholes and be done with them, but hey, we gotta let reason take over, we've gotta be nice to people, we gotta give them second and third chances. That's all good. Thank you, OP, for doing that and getting him in place. I respect you, and I look forward to the next update. Thank you for the story. Am I the asshole here for not planning anything for Father's Day after my husband ruined my first Mother's Day? I'm 98.7% sure that I'm not the asshole here, but if I'm wrong, I'm willing to admit it and learn from my mistakes. Our little boy will be 1 late this summer, so this was the first Mother's and Father's Day for both me and my husband. My husband asked what I wanted for Mother's Day. I didn't want or need anything big or expensive. What I asked for is for my husband to get up with the little guy and get him fed while I pumped and chilled. Breakfast in bed, just toast, scrambled eggs, and coffee. For us to take the little guy to the zoo for the first time. This was the main thing that I was looking forward to, and to go to my favorite taco place for dinner. Between morning and afternoon naps, we have about 4 hours of awake time. The zoo is about 30 minutes away, so I'd figured that if we left as soon as he got up from his nap and ate, we'd have a couple of hours at the zoo, and worst case, he could sleep in the car on the way home. We took my mum and my mother-in-law out to brunch the prior weekend to celebrate them, his mum on Saturday and my mum on Sunday. I also got them each a thoughtful little present and flowers to celebrate their first Mother's Day as grandparents. I arranged everything and told my mum and mother-in-law that we'd be celebrating on the actual day with just our little family and sent them a group chat, which included my husband, my dad, and father-in-law, just to make sure everyone is on the same page. My mother-in-law is very pushy and overbearing, so I didn't want there to be any surprises or confusion. The Saturday before Mother's Day, father-in-law sent my husband a text with a picture of all the mulch that he just had delivered and said something like, "Gonna be a busy weekend," or something like that. Apparently, he had 300 bags of mulch. They have a big yard with lots of flower beds. That night, my mother-in-law called my husband and asked him to come over first thing in the morning to help his dad move the bags of mulch to where they were going to be used. She said since we weren't going to the zoo until after the little guy's nap, that husband could go over and help for a couple of hours and then come pick us up to go to the zoo. I was obviously not happy, but she guilted him and said father-in-law was going to end up hurting himself if he moved all of that by himself, and that it's not a big deal and it should only take an hour or 2. I told him his mum was doing this to try and get us to skip our plans and spend the day with them, but he kept saying that it's not a big deal, saying his mum promised it would only take a couple of hours, etc., etc. I think most people know what happened. Husband went over first thing, which means no breakfast in bed, and I had to get up to feed the little guy. I was kinda pissed, but whatever. Spent time with the little guy, and then he went down for his morning nap. I texted my husband to let him know that he should start wrapping things up. Then when little guy woke up 2 hours later, I called husband to tell him that I'd be ready to go as soon as I finished feeding the little guy. He told me that it was taking longer than expected, but that he would hurry. Like an hour and a half later, husband called and said they weren't done, but he was getting ready to come home. It's a 15 to 20 minute drive from mother-in-law and father-in-law's house. At that point, we had missed the window to make it to the zoo, so I told him to just stay there and finish, and not worry about Mother's Day since he hadn't done a single thing I asked for. I don't think there was any doubt in his mind how pissed I was. A little while later, his mum called and said that since we decided not to go to the zoo, that me and the little guy should go hang out with her while the boys finished with the mulch. I admit that I was pretty pissy and told her that I had no interest in spending time with the people who decided to ruin my first Mother's Day. I ended up staying home and ordering a pizza and binging Netflix. When husband got home, he was all apologetic and asked how he could make up for it. I was still pissed and told him that he could make it up by not ruining my first Mother's Day. I also told him he should plan on spending Father's Day with his mum and dad because me and the little guy were going to go celebrate Father's Day with my mum and dad. Since Mother's Day, mother-in-law has been texting and calling, but I've been keeping conversations short and just giving very bland, generic responses. My husband has been apologizing and asking what he can do, but honestly, I don't want to bother. I know it's just a day and we can celebrate any time, like we did with my mum and mother-in-law, but it was my first ever Mother's Day, and it's not like I asked for anything expensive or difficult. The only difficult thing is he's incapable of setting boundaries with his mum, and she's incapable of considering anyone else's feelings but her own. This past Saturday, he asked if I was still going to my parents, and then said that he'd like to go with us. I told him he could do whatever he wanted, but since I hadn't done anything for his dad, he might want to go see him or something. We did both end up going to my parents and spending the day with them. It was actually a nice day. My dad insisted on grilling because of course he did, but the weather ended up being nice, and we spent a lot of time hanging out on their deck, playing with the little guy. I'm not sure what, if anything, my husband did for his dad. I know he was getting a lot of texts during the day, I assume from his mum. She did send me a snippy text saying that it was hurtful to spend the day with my family at the expense of husband's, but I told her that she got to spend Mother's Day with her baby boy, so it's only fair that I spend Father's Day with my family. I know my husband was hurt that we didn't acknowledge him for Father's Day, but I told him while we were driving to my parents' house that I'm just matching his energy. I admit that I haven't done anything to de-escalate the drama, but I'm just still so hurt that he continues to prioritize his mum's feelings over our little family. This isn't the first time that his mum has done crap like this, and I'm just so tired of it. She always oversteps and insists on doing what she wants. I'm doing better at keeping her at an arm's length and holding my own boundaries, but my husband is absolutely incapable of it. In the comments, 13 Surgeries says, "Your husband has clearly decided having a pissed-off wife is preferable to having a pissed-off mother. The very first time he knew his dad had bought 300 bags of mulch, holy dooly, does he own Rhode Island or something? Your husband should have said, 'I wish I could help you, but we have plans for Mother's Day.' When his mum said it would only take an hour or two, he should have responded, 'Our plans are all day.' The mulch could have waited. If he can afford a yard that big, he can afford someone to dump the mulch. What's wild is that he puts the planning of her makeup Mother's Day on her. Like, sure, he said he's sorry, but he's done zero on his own to actually correct the situation. Continue to match his energy until you see genuine effort to change and prioritize you. Yeah, he already had it extremely easy by being told exactly what to do in the first place. The 300 bags of mulch could have sat in the driveway until such a time when it wasn't Mother's Day. It's not radioactive, it's mulch. Coulda waited. Not the asshole. Who orders 300 bags of mulch? Anything even close to a quarter of that size, and you're ordering it by the yard, and it's dumped in a pile by a truck. Not the asshole. But as they say in the Just No Mother-in-Law sub, you don't have a mother-in-law problem, you have a husband problem. This is only going to continue until he grows a spine. Yup, this OP. You need to have a clear conversation with your husband about the problem. His inability to set boundaries with his mother. The options he has, and what your limits are. You're showing a great spine now, but do you have a stop point? A breaking point? Are you content to stay married to him if every holiday will either be both of you with his family, his mother blowing up phones because you're not there, or spending them separately? If not, how many chances does husband get before the divorce papers come out? Husband will likely need therapy to learn boundaries, because it sounds like he never separated from his mother or learned that her wishes and needs are not his own. You might want to set this as a condition to remain married or another reason to divorce. Ultimately, he has to decide who is more important in his life, and you have to base your reaction on his decision. I'm sorry, I know it's hard, especially when he has to decide if he's going from mummy's boy to low contact. Hopefully common sense prevails. I'm with you on that one. This is definitely a him problem, and it doesn't always come from a place of malice, where he is intentionally choosing her because he hates you. There does fortunately exist a universe where he has just become so conditioned to it that he's unable to break this cycle, and he's choosing you as the victim that should not rock the boat. Unlike that other Mother's Day story that we had, which pissed me off to no end, where he sent OP off on Mother's Day to Disneyland or something. It was a theme park, and he as the father had Mother's Day to himself, and then OP did the same to him on Father's Day, and he lost his goddamn mind and said it wasn't the same. That's when it's malicious. That's when it's just straight breakup and go for amicable co-parenting if possible. I would like to believe in my heart of hearts that OP's husband here is just damaged, that he doesn't know how to say no, that he is a people pleaser with no spine. And it's unfortunate that it's led to so much heartbreak as it is now, but I do think you need to continue matching his energy. You need to push for him to see things from your perspective and to fix the situation before you have to issue an ultimatum to him. You're not an asshole for not planning anything for Father's Day. He asked for it, he deserves it, and frankly, he deserves more. What he did to you was disgusting. And now, onto the update. This weekend, the husband and I sat down and talked about everything. I expressed to him how incredibly upset and disappointed I was at how both Mother's Day and Father's Day went down. I really wanted to recognize and celebrate my husband for Father's Day every bit as much as I hoped he would recognize and celebrate me for Mother's Day. He said he knew he shouldn't have gone to his parents on Mother's Day, but didn't know what to do since his mum was pressuring him and saying if his dad got hurt, it would be my husband's fault. He admitted that he knew he messed up and has been terrified that I was going to ask for a divorce. Since he cut to the chase, I told him that if this is how our life is going to be, I don't want to stay married to him. I explained to him that I realized that while yes, I was upset about what happened on Mother's Day, that isn't what is making me feel this way. That was just the straw that broke the camel's back. This kind of behavior from his mum has been happening since before we got engaged and is just escalated. This has been happening for years. As someone here suggested, I had listed all of the times and events that I could remember that she had overstepped or just completely ruined. For our frickin' honeymoon, she called him twice a day. Every morning to find out our plans for the day, and then every evening to hear how the day went. Plus the constant texting, asking for pictures, telling him how much she missed him. I don't know how I thought this was acceptable. She tried to make our wedding about herself, tried to make my pregnancy about herself, tried to take over when we brought our son home, just constantly inserting herself and overstepping. I told him that I don't really want to get divorced right now, but it's going to happen anyway. I'd rather get divorced now while we can still do it amicably, because if nothing changes, I'm going to end up so angry and resentful that it would make divorce very contentious, and I don't want that for our son. At this point, we were both crying, upset, and emotional. So I told him that I'll give him some time to decide what he's going to do, but if I don't see clear effort being made to start prioritizing me and our son, that I'd move forward with the divorce. And the change has to continue. Every time we've fought about this in the past, he promised he'll change, and sometimes he has, but then his mum pulls him back into her orbit. If we are to stay married, these are some of the things that I'm insisting on in no particular order. We each own the relationship with our own parents. That means I'm not planning anything for his parents anymore. No cards, no presents, no brunches or parties, no pictures, nothing. If his parents reach out to me, I'm going to redirect them to him. I'm not entertaining or visiting with his parents when he's not around. I'm not taking our son over to theirs by myself, and if they drop by, I'm not inviting them in unless my husband is there. I'm not changing my plans at the last minute just because they decided to drop by without coordinating with us in advance or because they want us to do something with them. Neither of us makes plans with our parents or accepts invitations until we discuss it with our partner, and if we both don't agree, then we don't do it. We don't throw each other under the bus. We just say something like, "We checked our schedule and we're not available." Holidays like Christmas, Halloween, Easter, etc. are at our house. We can discuss inviting our parents, but we're not going to someone else's house to celebrate something involving our son when we can do it at home. This includes his first birthday, which mother-in-law is trying to take over and plan. Other holidays, we are alternate between our parents, and we will focus on being present. That means no more texting/talking to his mum non-stop when we are with my parents. No more oversharing with mother-in-law. She doesn't need to know about our finances or health/medical issues or vacation plans or anything unless we both agree that it's something we want to share. His visits to his parents can't be at the expense of spending quality time with me and our son. I don't mind him visiting his parents, but he's over there a couple of times a week. We are his immediate family now. We should get priority. We are not doing things just because she said we should, and we're not changing our plans just because she doesn't like them. She really doesn't understand that wrong and different are not the same thing. In her mind, if we're not doing what she wants, how she wants, then we are in the wrong. He needs to go to therapy with someone specializing in enmeshment, and we need to start going to couples therapy. I didn't even realize that I have so much pent-up resentment that I can't look at my husband the same anymore. I'm just angry at him all the time, and I hate being this way. When it comes to our son, our word, husband and me, is law. If she disregards or minimizes our decisions for our son, then she loses access until she learns to behave. When me or my husband say no to either set of parents, the other person will support them and back them up. That means my husband has to stop trying to get me to agree with his mum all the time. I can tell that he's freaked out and really stressed about the idea of putting hard boundaries in place or distancing from his parents, and I do feel for him. He said he feels like he's caught between a rock and a hard place, and that me and his mum are both putting a ton of pressure on him and both have conflicting expectations. And that's fine. He just needs to understand that I'm not tolerating this anymore. I know this will cause an absolute shitstorm with his parents, but I feel like if we don't do it now, it'll just be harder down the road. What does everyone think? Am I being unreasonable? Are there other boundaries that we should put in place? In the comments, Percentage Bitter says, I think you should remind him that if you divorce, he will have the same problem with the next person. Does he feel ready to keep having his parents ruin his relationships? OP says, that is an excellent point. I think his mum is at least partially responsible for some of his earlier relationships ending. I'll make sure to point this out. Save that comment for couples therapy and neutral space. You're not being unreasonable at all. These boundaries are about respect and protecting your peace. You've given him a clear chance to step up, and that's more than fair. You need a timeline. Can't say do all of this and then in a year say, hey, you didn't check box 3 and 4, I'm out. By September, we'll have a counseling session together, and he had 2 on his own, and we had a family trip, just the 3 of you, to the seaside or something. Put dates down. So by New Year's, if things haven't improved, you can call a lawyer. OP says, that's an excellent idea. He did seem overwhelmed, and admittedly, it is a lot. I wouldn't expect it all at once, but this is where we have to end up, and I have to see progress and change. I'll sit down with him again tonight and start having that conversation. I want him to be successful. I want us to be successful, and I'm willing to put the work in and to also help support him, but he will need to do the same. Buttered Crumpet replies, you know, the thing that would do it for me is him saying he feels caught between a rock and a hard place. He knows he's hurt you. You've now told him all the things his mother has done that have hurt you. He knows his mother is damaging his marriage, and he knows that you will leave him if he will not change, and yet still he's torn. Still, it's some kind of quandary for him as to what to do. He's been given the choice between saving his marriage by setting and maintaining healthy boundaries with his mother, or further destroying his marriage and causing his son to grow up in a broken home by refusing to sever the umbilical cord tying him to his mother. And he still isn't sure what to do. I think him saying he's torn is because he hopes you'll feel guilty and back down because he knows his mummy won't change and he cares more about being attached to her than about saving his marriage. I agree, there needs to be a timeline, but I also think he needs to understand that you are serious here. You will divorce him if he continues to place his mother ahead of you and your son. That means he will no longer have a wife. He will only get to be with his son 50% of the time, and he will have to start over all by himself. If he's really willing to lose out on 100% of your marriage and 50% of your son's childhood because he's too afraid to stand up to his mother, that is certainly his choice, but it would be a stupid one. After all, he's risking his marriage and being a full-time dad for his mother, a woman who wasn't even willing to let him have a honeymoon in peace. If he's willing to throw away everything for a mother who refuses to consider anyone but herself, he deserves to wind up alone with nothing but his mummy and his regrets to keep him company. I'm sorry to be so harsh, and I do recognize that he has a tough choice and his mother has conditioned him to be this way, but that rock and place line really got me. Your marriage is on fire, and he is genuinely struggling to decide whether he should grab the fire extinguisher or the lighter fluid. I agree with this comment. It's a tell that his first response was, "Woe is me, I'm caught in the middle." That's not confidence-inspiring, and in fact, it's the husband signaling further retreat and non-alignment with the program. In other words, husband is just too big of a pussy to change. I expect husbands to immediately cave with his mum, and further conflict will arise. Very sorry. OP seems nice, and is not the asshole. Took the words right out of my mouth in this instance, but at the same time, I'm hopeful. I do think that if you can serve him all of this reality that he has been in denial of this whole time, there is, I think, a very good chance that he does see how much his behavior has caused the downfall of his marriage, and show that he can fix this. If he's able to grapple with the reality that his mum has destroyed and dismantled all of his previous relationships and will continue to do so in the future, surely that's enough of a slap in the face to be like, hey, something's got to give, I've got to change. But as we've seen in stories like this, and stories that come from the Just No Mother-in-Law subreddit, it doesn't always play out that way. You can lead a man away from his toxic mother, but you can't make him want to stay away from her. Anyway, I wish you good luck with all of that, OP. Thank you for the story. My younger sister's close friend has been chasing me for months. We finally hooked up tonight, and she's acting off after. My sister has her friends over all the time, and they're always throwing their friends' parties here because we have a big backyard and her friends like our family. One of her friends, Katie, has a crush on me. She's made it obvious, and she's told my sister about it. She's flirted with me in the past, but I stopped myself from letting it become anything. The last time before I saw her, she came to my bedroom in the middle of the night at like 2 in the morning when my sister was asleep, asking to use my bathroom. I told her there was one in the hallway, but ultimately just let her in. She tried sleeping with me that time, but I didn't do it. A couple of days ago, we had another party for my sister's birthday, and a small thing happened. I talked with my sister beforehand, and she said she didn't care as long as I wasn't playing with her feelings and as long as it didn't cause us problems. So this last time, she kept giving me that look like she wanted to be with me, and I finally approached her and talked to her. We had some drinks together, but we weren't drunk, and she asked me to dance with her. When we were all going to sleep, I invited her to come in and relax in my bedroom, and she got excited and went back to my room. We ended up having sex for a long while, and we went at it non-stop. I know the sex was good because I got her off a couple of times, and she definitely enjoyed herself, and I tried my best to make sure that I satisfied her first. I had a lot of fun either way, and she slept on top of me. The next day, she was with my sister when I woke up, and she seems to be shy around me now. She's acting different and not as confident as she used to. How do I fix this? I really don't know what caused her to act like this. In the comments, my next vacation says, she probably feels vulnerable, insecure, and wonders if you like her. You make it right by texting her that you had an amazing time and ask if she'd like to have coffee, a meal, or spend an afternoon together doing something that you think she would like. And OP says, I hope she doesn't think that I put in a lot of effort to satisfy her. But yeah, I'll try to see if she'll give me the chance to talk. My next vacation asks, why not? We women love when a man puts in a lot of effort to satisfy us. Don't you love when a woman makes an effort towards you, whether it's inside or outside of the bedroom? Kazraw says, pretty sure Opie was missing a comma after that, which completely changed the meaning. Actually, it probably should have been a colon, but a comma would have done. OP says, oh, that's not what I meant. I meant I hope she doesn't think I don't like her. If I ever get the chance to be with her again, I'd put in the same kind of effort to satisfy her. My next vacation says, now is when she's feeling the most vulnerable and wondering if you like her. I think you should message her or try to talk to her now, even if she can't talk until later. And OP says, I'll try contacting her and see if she answers. Excellent. I hope things work out between you. Oh, to be in your early 20s once again, and caught up in a situation like this. But hey, fair enough. Thank you for bringing it to our attention, OP. You do get laid. Congratulations. I think the answer to your question is that you're overthinking this situation, potentially overreacting, that you should just calm down, go have a chat with her, tell her how you feel, and you guys can sort this out together. I don't think that the dynamic has changed all that much. I think this is the natural progression of things. So, listen to the comments and act accordingly. And now, on to the update. A couple of things have happened since then. I ended up texting her, and she replied back instantly. I asked her if we could see each other and talk, and she agreed. She asked if I only wanted to be friends with benefits with her, or if I was willing to give her a chance. I told her that I actually enjoyed spending time with her, and that I would like to keep seeing her, but more seriously. She told me she was acting shy because she'd not been with a guy who got her off like that before, and she was embarrassed about how she reacted to it. I told her that it was okay, and that I enjoyed my time with her. I officially asked her out on a date, and last night we went out to dinner and went bowling afterwards. It felt so good seeing her happy, and she said that I shouldn't have waited so long to actually give her a chance. We just have one thing that I need advice on. My sister doesn't know that we went out, and she still has no clue about us being a couple now. How can I bring this up to my sister? I really don't know how she'll react, and I really do like her friend/my now girlfriend. In the comments, Figgy Pies says, I took your advice and asked blah blah out on a date, but I didn't want to say anything until afterwards. It went well, so I wanted you to know, and I wanted to say thanks. Done and done. She'll be stoked for you. If you guys decide to tell her about the hookup as well, that's up to you. Riker Omega 3 says, imagine that conversation. Yeah, your brother made me come harder than anyone ever has. Just normal girl conversation right there. OP says, I hope she wouldn't tell her that. I hope not too. My brother is married to one of my friends, and she talks about that stuff with her other friends. OP says, I don't know if I'll tell her about the hookup thing until later down the line. This soon, she would probably be mad, but once we got more serious, I don't think she'll care. And Pinamini says, I'm glad everything worked out and you now have a girlfriend. I would talk to your girlfriend and devise a plan on how you both tell your sister. I think it'll be best done if you do it together so your sister knows that you are both serious about each other. I agree too. I don't think you should be having those deep conversations right now. That would be weird. I strongly advise against it and just would urge you to chill out for a little bit. Think this is all going well? Congratulations and all the best on your happy future with your now girlfriend. Congratulations.